Okay, this hangout is live on the air. Welcome to episode 13 of the Zenspath Podcast. This is Smashing Bethesda and Plagiarism. I'm your host, Jeremy Powers, and joining me this week is strangers on the internet that I'm literally just now talking to. I've got Chris Ferry joining us along with his friend Stephen Swan. You guys say hi.
Hello.
And say which one you are, because I was very unclear.
My name is Stephen. I'll be the one you'll see once in a while here.
All right. My name's Chris.
All right.
Just joining in.
Yep. Stephen, I've talked to you on a little bit on Twitter for a little while, and this is our first time actually seeing and talking to each other, just thrusting you into the podcast. And then because Caleb couldn't understand Saturday and Sunday, he's going to hate me for that one. You've invited your friend Chris, who I've actually quite enjoyed talking to, so I'm kind of glad you hopped in there.
Thank you.
We will be randomly joined by another stranger from the internet I've just started talking to as of this morning, named Gary Smith over in the UK, who will be talking with us on our Bethesda issue, who has a bit of a legal background, so he might be able to help with that too.
Nice.
So we have three main topics we're going to talk about today. Smash Brothers Ultimate, which is just great. That's the best description I can give right now because holy crap. We've got Bethesda starting to sue people that own their games who want to sell them. And finally, the whole IGN debacle with Filip Miucin, their ex-Nintendo editor, and the fact that he can not only plagiarize everything, but not keep his mouth shut when he really should. So the man's got a shovel and he's going to keep digging. All right, so the show's been gone for a little while. I've been really busy with travel, with work, after school finished up and everything. So, we're kind of hopping back into it. We're, like I said, episode 13 right now, even though we'd gone like 30 or 40 the first run and then ended up starting it over. But we're going to kind of backtrack a little bit. I know we had the Nintendo Direct on the 8th of August, 2018 for specifically Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. But we never talked about the two previous announcements as well. That's first unveiling, and then it's first bit of information from E3. So we'll touch a little bit of that with some characters and things. But most of it's going to be about the smorgasbord of information we got the other day that blew all of our minds.
Yeah.
So, all right. So starting off, we have a solid release date, December 7th, 2018, when the game is coming out. Every character has been announced here. If they've ever been in a Smash Brothers title, they're in. So people get Wolf again. They get Dr. Mario. They can have their, Pichu back. They can have the Ice Climbers return.
And Snake.
And Snake, yes. Apparently missing his butt, but Snake is there. I thought that was funny.
Their endowment. That's a whole different argument for some reason.
Oh,
right.
Let's not go 34 into this.
Oh, no. They actually, it's kind of funny. They took most of his butt off, but I think they did slim down the Zero Suit Samus because she was not bad at the beginning, and then she started getting a little crazier, and then they're like, let's tone it down.
It did make her stronger, though, because they said her thighs are formidable now. All that jumping around, I guess.
Yeah, I always thought it was funny they would complain about her shoes. Like, she's in high heels. I'm like, those are small jets. They don't just fit nowhere. They got to go somewhere. I don't know. One of the biggest complaints people have had for Smash Brothers for a while is the clone characters. Now they're kind of officially talking about that, and they've renamed them. They're now called Echo characters, which I think is actually kind of a cool way to describe it.
True.
An echo is the same thing you just said, but it's a little different because it's a little distorted, a little changed. So an echo is a fitting name, I think.
I agree.
Yeah. They've announced a couple of those. Initially, they talked about it at E3, and they said Dark Pit and Lucina are officially echo characters now. They're no longer taking up a regular spot on the roster. And then they announced Princess Daisy is now a variation off of Princess Peach. I'm not sure of the exact details of her differences, but they are there. So
yeah, that was a good way of introducing echo characters. People went nuts, and they pretty much understood what an echo character was by showing Daisy and Peach.
Right. And I think
now you can have the echo characters as a full number on the roster. Because now you have the option to stack them or to actually just give yourself a giant character select screen.
Yeah, well, I was going to get to that one a little bit with the menu stuff, but yeah, just the fact of customization being to the point you can change, I want it displayed like this, and it all shows up. It's just nuts. So we'll jump ahead now. That covers kind of the basics of it, but we'll jump ahead now to the current direct that we had on the 8th, where we had a whole slew of announcements.
Yeah.
Anybody want to talk about the characters we got announced? Well, I'm sorry. There was one from the very beginning, which was the Squid Kids, boy and girl, which just like the Villager, when you switch between them, there's going to be, I think, 4 boys and 4 girls with 4 different designs each.
Nice.
Yeah, it's just like with the, all the other characters. Everybody has 8 variants for 8-player mode.
Yeah, so the next one was pretty big, and it was unfortunately somewhat leaked by Nintendo themselves, doing some technical difficulties with their music.
See, I'm glad I missed that.
Because that was late at night, but it was still going into it. I wanted to see it as a whole, and at least getting shocked of how they would, who they would put in, how he would look, what iteration would be. Are we getting Castlevania Judgment? Or are we getting Castlevania 1, 2? Like, who's he going to look like? And then we actually got the best of both worlds. We got kind of, really old school. So we got Simon Belmont. And then they're like, oh, hey, we're not known to just stop there. We're going to give you an Echo Fighter. We're going to give you Richter. So we're going to kind of give you old school and new school of the Castlevania. What people are used to. Because to be honest, there is 2 camps. There's going to be people who are going to remember Simon Belmont because they're going to play the original games. And then there's going to be the people who started with Symphony of the Night and played from that Castlevania on, so they remember Richter more.
Yeah, it's funny. I was showing my oldest son for messing around with Symphony of the Night, and I didn't even plan it. I just happened to have a game save right before where Alucard goes to talk to Maria, and it's like, yeah, I saw Simon Belmont, or I saw Richter. And it showed the sprite, like she had a little word bubble with the sprite of Richter in the same costume that's coming in Smash. I guess I jumped ahead on that one, sorry. And then Alucard goes, oh, from the Belmont family. And then it pops up, it talks about Simon, and it pops up the sprite of Simon Belmont from the NES. And I was like, see, this is why they look like that. I couldn't have planned that better.
That is a perfect save right there.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, but it's amazing. The detail in the Castlevania stage is phenomenal. Just how many things they threw in there. So many enemies as part of the stage. The creature, the flea man, the werewolf, and if you do something, Dracula himself as a boss, which is great.
Yeah, and that's, speaking of the stage, which we'll cover kind of more detail about that one in a little bit, but there's actually 2 stages shown. One of them is more like a boss fight, which there's another character we'll talk about shortly that has a similar one. So that might tie to a story mode or a boss rush mode.
Oh, we can hope.
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
I would love that personally because I miss Subspace Emissary. It was so much fun. And Smash Run isn't the same.
It's fun though. I really want Smash Run to be included. But,
sure.
But an actual story that makes no sense is great.
It was a great way of introducing Rob, too. Or ROB, however you could say it.
He's your robot operating buddy. He's Rob.
There you go.
I think even Nintendo calls him Rob.
Yeah.
So
but that was just make him an alien from outer space with a bunch of, android evil people, and he just decides to be the good guy. Okay, you're part of Smash. That's it. We're good.
Yeah, that did work out well. All right, so we'll move on to the next one. You talked about Simon, but then they had the Echo character of Richter, which they actually admitted they're not really sure which one's the Echo of which.
Yeah.
I know by technicality, because they're like, we've got Simon doing stuff Richter introduced, and Richter's doing stuff Simon introduced. Here's 2 Castlevania guys.
How about it? How about you?
Huh?
It's like, how about you? You can use either one.
So what did you think about the video that unveiled him?
Well, we know Luigi's not going to be in Smash.
Well, Nintendo's UK account actually came forward. Their Versus account said he's okay. So everybody's taking it as an official tweet, because even CBS News got in on the action and said that a lot of people are upset because their favorite character died. I was like, he was ready to come back, but Camilla was just like, "What you doing?" But yeah, there is something about their trailers where they're just straight out killing the Mario characters. I'm like, what are you guys doing?
Not just Mario, they're killing the old guard, is what it seems like. Because remember, Mega Man and Mario, and got Ridley's tail shoved through him.
Yeah, but I don't count Mega Man because I was like, that's the robot. He's just looking at the hole in his body.
We can build him. We have the technology.
Mario, the cap was on his finger. Like, he was just saying, well, that one's on.
Mario, they should have just seen him get stabbed and just see the outline shrink to a small Mario.
Or just do the death pose and just fly off.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. And then, of course, one of the later announcements, which we'll talk about in a second, but it seems like which one was that from the Kirby series? I just blanked on his name.
Oh, Day.
King Dedede got killed, basically. Which we'll go ahead and jump to him. He got killed by the most surprising reveal, which people have been clamoring for, and Nintendo has trolled us for a while, both as a Mii costume as well as the actual unveil video. King K. Rool from Donkey Kong Country is back.
Yeah, who would have thought? What was the last game King K. Rool was in?
Smash Bros. Ultimate. That's pretty much it. He
was a trophy and a costume in Wii U and 3DS. Yeah. I think he was mentioned in the Wii. He showed up in some of the Game Boy Advance Donkey Kong Countries and Donkey Kong Lands for Game Boy.
But see, that says it right there.
DK64, I think, was the last official new one.
Yeah, see, so that means, correct me if I'm wrong, but that means that King K. Rool has only been in Rare-headed video games. So when Rare let go of the DK franchise, King K. Rool has not been seen since.
It was kind of a weird middle ground. I think Rare and Nintendo split, but they split on really good terms. So while Microsoft ended up buying them, they still worked together. They still released games, but they could only be on the portables, because we got Diddy Kong Racing on the DS. We got
Banjo Pilot.
Yeah, there was the Banjo Pilot. There was
Grunty's Revenge. Banjo-Kazooie game for Game Boy Advance as well.
Mm-hmm. There was that Saberwolf game that came out for, I think, Game Boy Color.
Oh no, it's Mr. Pants or something like that.
Yeah, there was one other one I was trying to think of that was kind of a surprise. I just blanked out when you mentioned the other ones, but Rare kept releasing stuff with them and working with them. Viva Pinata. There was Viva Pinata on the DS.
Yep.
Oh wow, I didn't know about that one.
Yeah, it's actually surprisingly good.
Huh.
Yeah, you should look it up sometime. But, they continued to have a working relationship with them, and Microsoft was not like, that's your ex, you can't talk to him anymore.
Who's that on the phone? Who's that on the phone?
They were cool with it. They're like, you can still talk to him. I know you love us. So,
so that is amazing. Just the fact that for the first time we've seen King K. Rool in full HD as a playable character, not even an assist trophy.
Yep.
Full blast.
Yep. And he references so much stuff. Every version of him basically is referenced in there. He's got his crown toss from the first game. He's got the gun, his blunderbuss from the second one. He's got his body slam from Donkey Kong Land. He's got the boxing glove from DK64. His final smash is actually the game over screen from Donkey Kong 64. It's just we finally get to see the island get blown up as much as he threatened it, 20 years ago. So he's going to be hilarious. He's going to be one of those heavy hitters, and it's going to be kind of nice to round it out, because originally it was Bowser was your heavy hitter. Now you got Bowser, you got King Dedede, you're going to have Ridley, now you're also going to have King K.
You can basically, and we'll touch on those modes later, but you can have a big boys team now.
Yeah, and if you get to Special Smash, you can make a really big boy team. Make them heavy.
So
go ahead.
King Hero looks to be the same size as Bowser. Am I wrong?
It looks about the same size. Him and DDD and all of them are about the same size.
Nice.
Oh, and I just gave away one of the other ones I forgot they mentioned originally. Ridley.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about having Mario get a tail through him, and people are going like, "What tail? Which tail? Tell us what tail? Whose tail was it?" Well, there you go.
While we tell you a tale. So yeah, Ridley. He was once too big, but now is small.
Believe it or not.
They actually went with a decent sized model. I think the only thing they did was they kind of truncated his wings a little bit. But I looked at it, I'm like, okay, that actually fits. He's kind of crumpled in, but it's Ridley, and he looks nasty and vicious. Oh my god, vicious.
Yeah, they probably said his wingspan couldn't be longer than like Meta Knight or something like that. So they're like, we need to kind of still have kind of a hitbox, but just a Bowser-sized hitbox.
Right. You know, they made him work. I mean, everyone, even I was on the side where I was like, he's just too big. You can't make it work right. I was wrong. They did. So hats off to you.
People really wanted him in there, and I'm just like, if they can make it work, but at current time, I was like, I don't see how. But
yep,
gotta give props to Sakurai.
Yeah, really.
I'm very fond of his Meta Ridley alt too. Looks great.
I heard about it, but I haven't seen it yet. I kind of want to look, but I'm like, I want to wait and just see them when I have the game, and it's killing me inside.
Yeah, and I always thought that in the past, with before they got into Echo Fighters, is a lot of these things. I was like, why aren't they just simple costume changes? Like, okay, Meta Ridley is just Ridley.
Well, it's kind of like that really became a question with Bowser Jr. on the Wii U and 3DS, because there was only one Bowser Jr. There was no alternate colors, but then there was the other 7 Koopa kids. And I was like, okay, this is absolutely perfect.
Yeah, that was brilliant.
And I understand stuff like, Dr. Mario couldn't really be a skin switch like that because he did have some different mechanics. Not as much. He could have been an Echo character, but they've changed his moveset drastically in this one. He's got a nasty downward smash where you can just dunk on someone now, which those are always great to use. Samus has got a good one too if you do it right.
So Dr. Mario isn't considered an Echo. That's interesting.
Nope. Dr. Mario is not an Echo, neither is Pichu, neither is Ganondorf, because they're all so different, and their mechanics not just in a little bit, but it's a complete change on a lot of that stuff.
That's why Dark Samus surprised me, because I was like, that could have just been a costume change. But
well, it was. That's
they wanted to give it a more ominous, floating feel, and have it have all of its attacks seem corrupted or different.
Well, I want to see, because from a visual standpoint, that's fine. They could have just done like they did with Bowser Jr. I want to know what the actual differences are for Dark Samus. Is she, like I said, maybe she is floaty, or maybe, a little difference on her power. She might be weaker on regular attacks, but have stronger, strong attacks if you time it right. But I actually guessed about her in a previous discussion we've had before, because I noticed when I did see the costume changes, the costumes or the colors they had options for, I looked through and I was like, Dark Samus is not there anymore. Like they took that suit out and replaced it with one of the other ones. And I was like, okay, that's different. And then when we figured out about Echo characters, I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure she's going to be one. And I was right. It actually was one, which Sakurai even joked about. You people kind of guessed it already for these two,
Just correct me if I'm wrong. I forget if it was either Brawl or if it was Smash 4 for Wii U. But there was an ability to kind of alter the character's move, because I distinctly remember Wario, when you had altered him to a more customized character, that his actual bite move would actually emit garlic breath, and you could actually paralyze people with it.
That was on 3DS and Wii U, because that's where you could unlock custom characters, which was a lot of fun because you could completely change up how people worked. Which I don't know if that's coming back. That actually is one of the questions. I hope it does. I do too, because it's a fun unlockable, and you can make those crazy customizable characters, which can be very weakened or very overpowered for different challenges. And you can change the rules to allow them or not allow them for online. So not a big deal,
That would be fun.
So we've got Dark Samus, we've got Ridley, we've talked about Daisy. Now I'm going to jump ahead just a little bit to a little something I thought about later on. At the very end of the trailer, there was, end of the direct, I'm sorry. There was a short little bit of scenes where they had pictures flash really quick, and then they unveiled about King K. Rool. And I went back and was watching, I think, for the third time, and it finally clicked. These are all rivals. They're actual rivals to each other because they had Mario and Peach going against Bowser, Link and Zelda going against Ganondorf, Kirby and Meta Knight, Falco and Fox going against Wolf, Samus with Ridley. And then they did Donkey Kong and King K. Rool. It's like, hey, these are their big opposites. Like, they're making a focus of that. So I was like, could there be other ones that come up? You know, they could be echo characters or they could be full characters. So
While I support that, I don't think that's the overlying theme that they're going with. I think that was just more of a kind of a hint for that specific cutscene.
Well, I think it would tie in with the story mode. I think that's going to come in, and they may not even be playable. They may just be in there. I mean, look at the Belmonts have got Dracula.
Yeah.
You've got their tie-ins showing up. We don't know who's got something, but there's a dragon, which we'll talk about shortly as well. That was a huge surprise.
I wonder if this means we'll see Dr. Eggman or Sephiroth in future Smash games.
I actually had Sephiroth on the list. I didn't think about Eggman. I actually, I went with some of them. They may not do the third-party ones, but I'm kind of curious. But like, they could choose from almost any other racer for Captain Falcon. He could be an Echo character that just brings in someone similar. And the funny thing is there was actually, it was a costume that Captain Falcon had, and it was a racer in F-Zero X on the 64. That was like a dark version of him that was almost like a clone. That could be in there.
They can't use Samurai Goro because he's an assist trophy. He's kind of out.
Yeah, he's also too big to be a double. Yeah. Samurai Goro is great. But like for Snake, we're getting him back. We can have Liquid or Ocelot.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Liquid could be an Echo character with just a few.
It would be the easiest because he would just have all the moves, just with a jacket and a bare chest. So.
Right. Ocelot would have to be a whole mechanics change with the gun, which would be interesting.
I think it would be easier for them to not have Liquid and to just throw in Boss instead.
Oh, Boss is a good choice. I didn't even think about that one. That would be an interesting adversary.
Snake Eater's already in there as the theme, so you might as well just bring her in as your Echo.
Oh, I didn't think about that. Good job. The villager can get Tom Nook, an enemy to us all.
Tom Nook's already an assist trophy because they built that house.
He'd find a way to charge you.
I still feel that if there's already an existing assist trophy, that they're out of the running.
True, because I'm thinking Crom probably is no longer an assist trophy now that, or I wonder if he's even going to be part of the final Smash now that he's been made a
Wait, Crom was an assist trophy before?
I don't think he was.
He showed up in a final Smash. I don't think he was an assist trophy. My apologies.
Because if he was an assist trophy, I'm going to tinfoil here now. If an assist trophy becomes a playable character, then could Waluigi be in the future?
In the future, maybe. I mean, think about it. Little Mac was originally he came as an assist trophy and then became a fighter. So it can't be done. Right. Shadow or Metal Sonic with Sonic. I'd rather have Metal Sonic.
Shadow's already an assist trophy.
They haven't shown if he's one in this one.
Metal would be a great Echo fighter, I think.
See,
I agree.
That's the only argument I get is they haven't shown it yet. And I'm like, well, somebody's going to, like, Game Explain's going to ruin everybody's dreams down the line. They're going to show you every single assist trophy, and then they'll be like, okay, Shadow can't be in the game. Okay.
I'm not going to lie. Watching their videos is like a little just, I'll sit there and just be like, this is my little thing. I'm just going to watch these. But yeah, Metal Sonic, I agree, would be an absolutely perfect Echo character because he's made to mimic Sonic, but had some differences. So, I mean, it's already there.
And he can use the Chaos Emeralds, too. So he's compatible. So we can have a dark version of Super Sonic.
Yep.
So, yeah, that would work with like the Dark Samus mentality where they can change the floatiness or change how the moves look and how the person like animates, and it would work fine.
Right. You mentioned before, and I had the same thought of Sephiroth for Cloud. What was the character from Crisis Core? He wasn't really a competitor, though. I'm thinking guys to go against. So Sephiroth would be the one for that.
See, I don't think Zack should be an Echo Fighter. I think Zack would just be a color change of the hair for Cloud, but they just haven't gone with that.
Yeah,
I could kind of see that.
He wouldn't be a rival, though. It wouldn't fit the theme of what I was thinking of, though.
Yeah.
Because he was somebody he looked up to, not someone he fought against.
It's a loaded question, because if it actually came out that was the theme, people are going to be like, now I want a rival for every single character's series that is represented. Because then they're going to
get Bison too.
Well,
I mean,
Bison wouldn't work at all.
Well, I was thinking if you want to do that, it'd be Akuma.
Oh, true.
Akuma and Ryu. They're already fairly compatible. A few differences on the moves, about the same size.
Yeah. I always thought an Echo Fighter would be Ken as well, though, because when you have Ryu,
Fighter, yes, but rival, I think Akuma would be the better fit than M. Bison.
Because, you have Simon, Richter, Mario, Luigi.
Oh, dude, Ken is who I main in Street Fighter. I want him in this game so bad.
You have Roy and Marth, and then you have Ryu, and everybody's like, where's Ken? That should just be a costume, honestly, because I was like, it's just Ken. Just let him in.
Yeah, I would be fine with that being an extra costume just to change into, just like, once again, like Bowser Jr. So
that would work.
I just thought of a kind of a more of a corny one, but if you're looking for rivals, you've got Game & Watch, and then they could just have like the Super Polygon team, because it's just three-dimensional characters.
Oh my god. I was thinking that huge octopus myself, but hey.
3D versus 2D.
Well, the octopus is him when he gets his smash. So
I don't know what his new smash is, because remember, all the smashes are no longer changing into something and moving around.
If you go to the website, sometimes they show their final smash. They have shown Game & Watch. So I'm sorry to spoil this, but he becomes the octopus.
Nice. He does go there again. Okay. I thought it was fitting. I was fine with that.
It's just handled differently, because they don't pretty much want most of the smashes to be like a controllable, kill all. So they just make it an actual kind of just like a fancy move where it's trying to hit everybody real quick and then it stops.
Yeah, and that fits in, I think, with one of the other new modes they added in there. But one last one I had in here is the Octolinks for the Squid Kids.
That would be cool. And,
that would be
considering they're still new.
Mm-hmm. That would be a good Echo, or that would be just like knowing how they did with Wii U. That would be probably, I think, DLC to just be like, oh, it's another color choice.
I'm going to be that guy that really hopes there is no DLC. I would rather there not be any, because like for Wii U, there will come a day where if your system messes up and you can't update it, you're going to lose a huge chunk of the cast from that version of the game. Love it or hate it, I can always go back and play all of 64, Melee, Brawl, but Wii U and 3DS will be the first one that you go, well, I don't have everything.
I don't necessarily think it'll be something where it's going to affect the roster, but I think they're going to make it so it affects your costume. Because for them,
costumes are fine, but I can guarantee you if they do DLC, it's going to be fighters.
Because I'll be honest, when you look at some of the select screens, you see there's room for 6 more stages. You see there's room for 1 more new character or 2.
Well, depending on how they've shown it, there could be more than that, because, you can, why would they have the option? You could shrink it down and stack the Echo characters.
Yeah.
You could technically make it even smaller.
I think once October hits, I'm going to be like, okay, I think I've seen all the characters that are going to be in there for launch at least.
Well, they've already admitted there are more. They have not announced all of them. Like, that was out of his mouth. I was like, okay.
I'm holding out for Toon Ganondorf.
Oh my god, that would be kind of cool.
Swords and everything.
Wouldn't that just be King K. Rool with a different coat of paint over them, because they're both the same body proportion?
I'll take it.
Oh Lord. All right. So speaking of stages, there are over 103 stages.
300 if you include Omega and Battlefield.
Which is legit, because that does change up the stages a lot. But it also makes it, at least for the competitive scene, it won't get so boring. You could put it on random and just have it set to Omega or Battlefield, whichever your rules apply to. And you can have a different theme and different music every time, but not affect the actual gameplay. which is going to make tournaments a lot more interesting to watch because it's like, oh, I'm watching a Melee tournament. Oh, look, it's the same level again.
You know, what I like about that is I'm seeing with the Omega and Battlefield versions that for tournaments, they'll do and you know, I might be slightly skipping ahead here, but having Battlefield versions and stage morph just makes it so it's fun. You know, so it's not they're sitting on Final Destination. They're sitting on Final Destination, then it's Smashville, but it's still the same layout. So it's not like it's altering the tournament in any way, which is nice.
Well, I wonder if those are actually compatible because they didn't show anything with the Battlefield ones or the Omega. It was always the full normal levels that switched. That would seem more like a party thing than a tournament scene. So I wonder if that's even an option under the tournaments. I don't think it will be.
One thing that gets me is being able to pick a stage on a small television. What are you going to see? Everything is there.
Well, I like the fact they're in chronological order of release. So, you know, kind of like if you want a 64 stage, they're very first. You know, Melee is a little bit after that, and then Brawl, you know, following down. And if you want the new stages, hit a square on the bottom.
And Door that you're picking the rules first, then the stage, then your character.
That was interesting. I didn't expect that.
I think that's really smart, though, because they pointed out, like, you pick the stage, you pick your rules, which we host a game night here every Saturday. If I'm in town, we're having game night, which we're doing it tonight, too. And we'll pop it in, and every time one of us has to remember, okay, change it over to stock. You know, we're going to do 3 stock this, you know, with items on or not. But I can just have those rules there where we're like, okay, we're going to do a 5 stock, no items. It's right there. Or we're going to, you know, or some of these other new rules that are coming up. And we could just cycle through them very quickly, which is great. Or heaven forbid, you know, if they have a random option on that, make a bunch of rules and you don't know what rules you're playing on.
Well, it looks like you had like 5 different choices. So it could be that you could randomize those 5 different choices.
That would be kind of funny. Random
rules.
We have some, like, we'll pick the stock and everything, but we'll just do random is what we call it.
It makes me wonder.
Random, everyone has to choose a random character, and it's just 8-player madness.
It makes me wonder if looking at like the tournament mode, which again, yeah, I'm jumping back and forth here, but with the tournament mode, I could see them letting you customize the rules depending on if it's the semifinals or the finals, like changing finals to be 5 stock 3 minutes instead of 3 stock 5 minutes, like doing little things like that. I could see them doing that in tournament mode where you can alter the rules. You can alter number of players. When you watch the direct, the biggest one they have goes from 4-player mode, and then the finals can actually be 1-on-1, which is nice.
Yeah, because it's 32 is the max characters you can have in a tournament, which I've actually had to host a Wii U tournament before, and that was nuts, trying to keep that organized between all these different systems. But now you could just run it off of one switch and one set of controllers and just cycle everybody out. Now, I'm curious if they'll let you have, like, say, 4 switches and have them communicate with each other. Okay, this switch is going to have this part of the bracket. You know, if they do that, that's going to be huge. Because then you could have a full big tournament going on with more than one screen. So you can whittle your way down until one system is actually decided to be the main.
We still have either one more direct or something because he doesn't want to unveil the green part until later. So
I think we're going to get 2 more announcements. We're going to get one probably next month with the online. They'll probably mention something about online modes with whenever online starts.
Yeah.
And then get one late November, right before launch, that unveils the final mode. I think that's what's going to.
I can definitely see that. I could see them even like putting a new character on the end of a direct. Like if they want to have a direct for next year, because you know everybody's always just feverish for the next direct. So if they have one saying we're going to outline 2019 for you, because honestly they do that like every November, December it seems.
Yeah, people seem to have a lot of trouble understanding, like, hey, this E3 is just for this year and early next year. What about 2 years from now? Do you not understand what we just said?
If you just want now in development messages, then go watch Sony's company.
Yeah, well, there were people complaining about the direct. They said it is a Smash Brothers direct, and people were responding back. So where's the other games?
You're in the direct. You had Castlevania. There's your other game.
So I went back and looked, and I wrote down the numbers for when they were describing, there's 103 stages. People are wondering, like, well, how is that? How big is that? Smash 64 had 9 stages, which is amazing how much gameplay we got out of those 9 stages. Melee had 29 stages, which everybody used except for Poke Floats. I don't think Poke Floats is coming back. I want it to. It's such a trolly horrible level, but it's not coming. Smash Brothers Brawl had 41 stages. And mind you, none of these actually say how many are repeats from previous games. I meant to go through and trim that out. Like, however many came back from 64, take them out of Melee. How many came,
How many are new? Yeah.
Right. And some of them cycled out. Like they came back for Melee, but not for Brawl, but then came back again, things like that. Brawl had 41 stages. So, we almost doubled it. We added a good bit there. Smash Brothers for 3DS had 42 stages, and then Wii U had 56. That's both of those are after DLC. So we're talking about going almost double the amount of just set stages, 56 to 103. Not even counting the fact it can be 300 if you actually use different forms. That's stupid. It's great.
A lot. It's a lot. And, when you think of how each new character will always have a new stage. So there's that too.
Maybe, because they haven't shown anything for King K. Rool yet.
Oh, there is that. There is that.
Yeah, they haven't shown one for him. Like the Echo Fighters, they don't know if they're going to have stages because they don't. I think the ones that were grandfathered
We'll have Amiibo.
Huh?
We'll have Amiibo, they said. The Echo Fighters.
Yes. And that's fine with me, as we can look over here and get over. I have almost all of them just hanging on the wall.
The problem they had with the stages, back when it was 3DS and Wii U, is you had some really good ones on 3DS, and you were so upset that you couldn't use them on the Wii U. So you couldn't have the awesome looking Pac-Man stage on Wii U. You had to have Pac-Land, and I'm like, oh, really? We can't have.
Didn't they fix that later though? Didn't they add Wii U stages to DS?
Kind of, but they never gave you what you actually did want. They didn't give you the Pac-Man maze, the classic maze on Wii U. They kept that on 3DS.
Oh.
Yeah, there was basically, it was kind of that weird one where they had the 3DS was all the portables and the Wii U was all the home console versions, which I understood why they did that. But the crossover between them really hurt because, like, on 3DS, you had the Spirit Tracks train, which was such a fun level to fight on.
Yeah.
But you never got that on Wii U. And I understood why the Wii U games couldn't always go to the 3DS, but damn it, the Wii U could have run the 3DS ones.
Yeah, and a lot of times I thought they should have done that as kind of like a farewell to the updates on Wii U, is to just give us the rest of those stages as one more part of DLC.
Yeah, they would have had to upscale them and retexture them, and I get that.
You just wanted to see that, and now they were just like, screw it, let's do that. Let's just retexture them all, and it's awesome.
Well, like I said, the Spirit Tracks level is coming over. We've seen that. One of the other ones that was wasn't even officially announced. It just popped up as in the middle of this video in the direct that I really liked was the Game Boy Kirby game level is coming back, where you could actually play through. And if I remember correctly, you could even change the color to look like it was black and white or green, like a Super Game Boy.
Nice.
I think it's been a while since I
played.
I know
that one of like Kirby's colors is his original black and white look, not the one with the hollowed out eyes where he looks scary, but his original color, because his color was black and white first. So.
Yeah. So I mean, the 3DS, there was the Street Pass levels are coming back, which is kind of a sick, twisted joke, because there's no Street Pass on a Switch. God, there should be Street Pass on a Switch.
Like, we're even getting Tomodachi Life coming back, and I thought that was pretty funny.
Yep. Give me just a second, guys.
Yep. I need confirmation that we're getting that Pac-Man maze in Ultimate.
That would be nice. There's still a lot of time and many directs, so there's still plenty to see.
I need to look at a lot of screen captures and check it out, because I'm looking at one now, hoping to see Pac-Man level. The Wario player one is still in there, but just looking at somebody took the screenshot of the direct. Like,
Oh yeah, that's another thing I wanted to do.
I don't see the Pac-Man maze, and I'm like, okay, there's 6 more slots. I want my Pac-Man maze.
Yeah, that one hasn't been announced yet, and I'm kind of worried it won't be there. It was a lot of fun to play, but after I broke a 3DS thumbstick, I was like, I don't want to play Smash on here anymore. But
that's why Switch controllers are detachable.
Right? I broke the stick. Click. Here's a new one. Or it's a GameCube controller because they're indestructible.
Yes.
Another one that I don't know if it's on that list, I haven't seen officially, that it's kind of funny. It's one of my favorite stages, but everyone else that comes over for game night absolutely hates it. There's a literal groan every time I choose it, and that is going to be 75 meter, the Donkey Kong level.
That is on there.
Oh, thank God. I get to keep making them hate me, and I'm like, it's my house.
Don't like it, bleed.
I did that last game night, and everybody was like, who picked the stage? And I was like, random did, so blame random.
Yeah, they made me finally go into the options on the Wii U version and turn off the Great Cave Offensive.
Oh, no, I always keep that off. That one's a mess because you don't really fight. You don't really fight, you explore.
Yeah, only once has the Great Cave Offensive ever been useful and well played, and that was during the previous Wii U tournament I was talking about. We had it just for a fun match on this giant TV on the wall. So everybody still looked huge. You could still see everyone. And that was the one time I was like, oh, this is great. Never again.
Yeah, you need at least a 60-inch TV to appreciate that game, that stage.
Yeah, seriously. One of the other things, speaking of 8-player, that I was happy about now, unlike on the Wii U where it was kind of segregated between certain modes and then later they kind of adapted a few, every single stage from the get-go, not only are they already unlocked, there's no stages to unlock, but they're all fully compatible with 8-player mode.
You know, my thing though is, are the sizes increased, kind of like Omega and Battlefield? Because if the proportions aren't increased,
you're gonna have a hectic, hellish fight, and I love it.
You go to 75. You go to 75 meter on 8-player, and everybody's going to hate you now.
It's actually not that bad. We can already do 75, I think, on the 8-player, but it's stuff like Dreamland is going to be great.
Oh Lord.
All right. Some of the other stuff they did for that, stage hazards can be now toggled on and off.
Very good.
Which is great because I love the Mega Man stage. I hated having to deal with the Yellow Devil every time.
Yes.
I'm going to want to play the Castlevania one, but that's going to have enemies appear all the time, which, you know, they've already shown. They showed Medusa, the Mummy, the Creature and Flea Man, Werewolf, Death, Carmilla, Dracula, and then they had one that they just had labeled as question marks. But when you look at the shadow, it's Kid Dracula from the Game Boy.
That was beautiful.
I'm like, I can't wait to see what happens with that.
And like, you know, I'm going like old school Smash, and to turn hazards off, I don't know about you, but I can't wait to turn off the cars from Onett. So I'm like, sweet.
I don't know if that's going to be one that they actually allow to turn off.
I'm thinking it is. I'm thinking it will turn off the Shy Guys from the Mario Kart level, and it'll turn off the cars from Onett because those are stage hazards.
I wonder if that'll turn off the carts and Mario Kart or the cars in F-Zero.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, would you just get the stage when the cars are such a big part of the F-Zero?
Those are literally hazards. So I know this sounds weird, but it would turn off, like, it would just keep Donkey Kong doing absolutely nothing in 75 meters because the bouncing spring would have to be gone because that's a stage hazard.
That's an interesting question.
Those are not turned off.
Well,
I can
with
see
the moving lift should still be there. Would the fire go away?
So
the fire guys.
The lifts will be there, but I think that bouncing part will be gone because I feel that there's going to be a brand new argument on Twitter come December if those simpler things are not
on the internet.
Off.
Really?
You know, really arguments on the internet. Where are we going? But I feel a lot of those things. People are going to be like, I thought you turned off stage hazards. Like, I can't do this if you're not going to turn off the cars in Onett or turn off the Shy Guys in the Mario Kart Super Circuit level.
I think the only ones we're really going to look to turn it off on will probably be like Yellow Devil.
That's the only example.
Yeah, because it's annoying. Like, I love that stage. I love Mega Man. I hate that part of the level.
but it doesn't give us much to go on other than this big guy who you could hit before or something like that. Will just be in the way.
Yeah, but when he jumps across is really annoying. Looks like Dracula does the same thing, where he can turn into bats and cut across the level, and it just kind of hits everybody. Some
Pardon
of
me
the.
for a second, guys. Keep
go
going.
ahead.
But yeah, we'll see. Because some things that I need to know more. So while I definitely do not want to watch a video of like we check everything for you and we answer all your questions, I'd rather do that myself. But
is it bad that I thought about doing that?
I expect somebody on Twitter to just say it straight out, and I'm like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, but it's still fun to make it. Still fun to make a video.
Yeah, that's maybe one thing being spoiled for me, but we're in the age we can't go in fresh to a game like we did in the original Smash Brothers and be like, oh, you can unlock Mewtwo now. It's just here's everybody.
Right.
So we're just wondering like what kind of cool things because everybody's gonna want to share as soon as something cool happens in Ultimate. So I'm taking that day off.
Well, it's not going to be them because Sakurai even said before the game comes out, every character will be announced. Every stage will be shown. Like he wants it to be out there. This is what's in it.
You still have to unlock everybody. He just said it'll be much easier to, but you still have to unlock everybody.
Right, but you'll know who they are.
Yeah,
and I think that's going to tie into the story mode as well. Which they're probably going to go back to how they used to do it, where the story mode can unlock characters, or after so many fights, a character comes up.
Yeah, I could see that. Just like play the game more and we'll unlock people for you.
You think they'll just go to straight unlocks, or do you think they'll bring back where you have to beat them to get them, so you can unlock them and then not get them? That happened in Melee a lot.
To be honest, except for characters I think should be over time.
Mm-hmm.
I really like having to save up coins to break open blocks to unlock stuff. That was just a lot of fun for me.
I did like the challenges. I'm kind of worried. I haven't seen too much. The vault is there, but we haven't seen how the trophies are. And the trophies were always one of my favorite things.
HD, like full HD, like they're gonna look.
On the Wii U, they look beautiful. I mean, the game was so nice. All right, so the other level that they showed off was New Donk City's mayor's office, or the city. I guess it was mayor's office from Super Mario Odyssey, which is a traveling stage, kind of a flat platform that flies around. And as that goes, you're going to have some of the musicians show up in the game. You can hit them and bring them down, and they start playing music. And people were like, "Oh my god, that song again!" And I'm just kind of like, "Oh, that's catchy. I love that song."
Like, have you guys played Skyrim? Because that played a lot too.
Oh, that'd have been a funny thing. It's like we put Link in Skyrim now. Skyrim's in Smash Brothers.
We'll give them any ideas. Just you wait.
They'd find a way to re-release it. I guess under that circumstances, they could sue you. Anyways. All right.
You can't sell your copy of Smash Bros. There you go.
Yeah, we'll get to that one in a little bit, but that's an actual thing. New items. Oh, I'm sorry. We'll go ahead and do the assist trophies that were shown. Alucard from Castlevania Symphony of the Night and Castlevania 3, I believe, was the one he was in.
Yep.
Is in there. Zero from Mega Man X. And all of these are great to hear about, but also sad for some people because they're no longer playable. Like Bomberman from Bomberman. Like, I really wanted him to be playable. I think he could have been funny, but at least he's there. Waluigi. Deal with it, people. Knuckles. Crystal from the Star Fox series over on the GameCube, which was another one of the rare games.
That was surprising because I always heard that Miyamoto and company didn't really like adventures. They didn't like those new characters.
From a technical standpoint, it was actually a really impressive GameCube game.
Yeah.
But, along with Crystal and then the Claptrap from Donkey Kong Country, and then you've also got King K. Rool as a playable character, Nintendo had to make some kind of deal with Rare, I think, to finally let go of all the licensing confusion. Probably telling Rare, hey, we'll let you release maybe like the Rare Replay where they use N64 games on the Xbox. If you let us have these characters for it, I could, as long as it's been in production, that could have been a cross deal.
Like Rare, don't get me wrong, Rare's hurting it, and by seeing stuff like that, I'm just like, allow them to do like a Donkey Kong Country compilation for Switch or something like that. Anything. Yeah,
that could be interesting. I mean, I like the new Donkey Kongs. I actually kind of prefer the newer ones, so I'm good with Retro doing them. Let's see, we got Chef Kawasaki from the Kirby series, which used to be what his Smash was based on. And now it's just a character coming in and still doing it. So that kind of came back, which is cool.
Well, Kirby has the sword thing now, right? As his Smash?
Yes. Welcome back, by the way.
Hello again.
I think the Smash one works a little bit, but the sword one works a little bit better. Gray Fox from Metal Gear Solid, which that's another one that I had thought like, oh, he'd make a great Echo. Oh, never mind. He's an assist trophy.
Maybe next time.
As long as he goes crazy.
We're getting too many characters, I think, with weapons. Just another character with a sword. So it's like
it would just fit in with Fire Emblem.
We already had the Fire Emblem incident. That's another whole.
Yeah, there's a whole list of those. Bunch of sword fighters. Nikki from I don't remember what game she was from. Flipnote. Swapnote. Yeah, you're right. I keep thinking Flipnote. She may have been in all of them. Who knows? But yeah, Swapnote, which is kind of a nice way to bring back some of the old levels or things would get drawn. Because I don't know if those are coming back.
We're definitely not getting a what was the stage called again? Where everybody could draw all their little things.
Oh yeah, the Miiverse stage sadly will never come back. Which
that's never coming because I guess Mickey's are kind of our.
We actually got a nice surprise the other day. We were going through my copy of Smash Brothers messed up. We had to buy a new one for the Wii U, and we couldn't look at the screenshots and stuff because the disc was literally deteriorating. We played it that much. But apparently my kids had gone in and kept taking screenshots on that stage. So we have Forever Sword, the most ridiculous little statements and weird drawings of Cloud and all this other stuff. And we're like laughing so hard when we see these. I need to get them and put them up on Twitter because it's just, I'm glad a lot of those got kept through someone backed up all of Miiverse and you can search through it and find a lot of those, but just having them show up in Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
I wish there's some way you could get that to connect to, like, if you have your own database of the stuff from there and load it, but it'll never happen again. Another great one was Shovel Knight. I really hoped he would have been a fighter, but it was still funny to see him just running around.
Well, I mean, he's in Blade Strangers, so he got that at least.
Yeah, I need to look about getting that one. We got the Moon from Majora's Mask.
I still think that should be a round ender. You assist trophy of the Moon? Game!
Is that the tactical nuke of Smash Brothers?
Something.
And then the last one, which was kind of surprising for everybody, was the Rathalos from Monster Hunter, which he's going to be a boss and an assist trophy.
First one to do.
And a stage.
Well, that's the thing. The stage is not a normal stage. Just like Dracula's castle, his throne room is not a normal stage either. But it's funny that they actually put him as a boss because they haven't had bosses since Subspace Emissary on the Wii. So I'm thinking that we're going to get another story mode like that with these special functions.
Yeah, because the stage seems like a Wii Fit stage where it's just go off the edge, you go off the edge. There is no falling off the edge.
Well, it didn't really look like there was an edge at all. Like it was more of just it was an actual challenge. Like you had to fight no matter how much you ran.
I'm in the camp though that I really hope this doesn't mean we're getting Monster Hunter as a character because I feel that's a waste of the slot.
I talked with a friend of mine, Michael, who comes here a lot for game night, and I liked what he suggested because I figured. Do you remember they had Monster Hunter equipment? I think as Mii characters you could use in the last game. And we know the Mii Fighter's back, so you can customize your hunter like you could in an actual Monster Hunter, and that would be cool.
You don't need a Monster Hunter. Plus, they already went down that route with Marvel vs. Capcom, unfortunately.
No, what he suggested, I could get behind. Don't make it the hunter be the character. Make it a Palico.
No, I'm totally behind the Palico. I will take the Palico all day long because the costume changes for that would be amazing. But
yeah, just having that cat running around.
Don't give us the actual warrior. Give us
as long as one of them is that chef with the eye.
Oh my god! 8 adorable little Palico breeds, and one of them being that psychotic.
Oh, that would be the final smash. He would come in and do a giant slice.
Look at it; it writes itself, people.
I want Chef Kawasaki versus that guy.
That's to be a new cooking game. Jeez. So, All right, so we'll go into the items shown, which they went into, more Pokemon with, I think, the best showing of the Alola Executor.
Yeah.
Just have him sitting there, just boop, and he's literally a wall. And I was reading on Twitter, someone had pointed out, like, that's going to be a hell of an edge guard. If you throw that in the right spot and he pops up on the edge, people can't really get to you easily, and you may not be able to get around it.
If you have hazards on.
Seriously mess somebody up.
That's crafty.
Well, imagine, like, if you're on a platform and you throw that, does it sweep you off the platform? Do you go around them? What happens?
Imagine that on your Donkey Kong stage. That's going to ruin a lot of things.
It's going to ruin a lot of friendships.
Oh, boy.
Abra, which they finally used as annoying teleport for a really funny use, where he can fly over, grab somebody randomly, and teleport them anywhere.
Yeah, that's going to be fun.
It seemed like they were always teleporting into danger, like a black hole and other stuff. So I don't know if that's on purpose or they just did it for comedic effect.
That is one very, very disturbed Abra if it's on purpose.
I'm just waiting for someone to just teleport you like under the map. Just you're dead.
If it's random, that could happen.
Yeah. They showed Solgaleo and Lunala, which was the lion and bat from Pokemon Sun and Moon.
Well, of course.
Which those came in. Mimikyu, which is that really weird wannabe Pikachu that's creepy. And apparently will just kill you because it showed him grab somebody. It did something under the suit, and then the guy was gone. Like it was just dead.
They ate you.
I think it actually KOs you. I hate saying this one. Piukanuka.
Oh, the sea urchin, sea cucumber one.
That one was cute.
I just call it the sea cucumber. That's it.
It's kind of cute how it just kind of spits out its hand and waves and goes away. Vulpix and Alola Vulpix, so now you got fire and ice. Marshadow, which looked demonic and creepy with the way he just kind of hit somebody, knocked him out, and went over.
It curses them, yeah.
They brought Ditto, and Ditto's no longer useless. He actually becomes another character, moves and all. So you think about it, you can have an 8-player Smash that could potentially have multiple Dittos that are copying multiple people.
16.
Yeah, the odds of getting 16 would be pretty difficult, but it could
probably programmed
actually
it so you
happen.
can't get that. Because I way back when, that was one of my favorite modes. It was to turn items on high, but only leave the Pokeballs on high.
Oh, it can be worse, actually.
So
it's 8 players of Ice Climbers. So that's already 16 characters. Does the Ditto copy one or both of them?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I would think one. Yeah.
It really does push to show you, like, okay, you went from the 3DS and the Wii U that could do these but limited. Here's the Switch. We're doing everything.
Now here's an interesting part we can just throw in anywhere.
All right.
Do you think this is all going to fit on the cart? Because
yes.
Christian thinks it'll be a separate download. I think that Nintendo's just going to be like, we're just going to fit it on the cart. All 900 tracks, all 300 stages, all.
Yeah, it's gonna.
I have a hard time believing that. How much can a Switch cart hold?
The game itself, I think, comes in at 13 gigs, and they have up to. I know they've already got 32 gig cards out. I know this game is twice the size of Breath of the Wild.
Man.
Yeah, it's twice the file size. It takes up half your storage if you have nothing in the Switch. If you just downloaded it. And I'm actually thinking about, we're going to end up buying a couple copies of the physical, and I might get one digital just to keep it on my system. I prefer physical, but we're going to have 3 backups, whatever.
That would be kind of amusing to get a Switch and then get downloaded Smash and not being able to actually put it in.
Certain games,
the one game
I don't think I could ever buy digital. It's going to be huge.
I can legitimately see, and I'm not even joking, people buy a Switch, put Smash on it, and that's all they put on it.
Exactly. It is your Smash machine. That's it.
Yeah. We just bring this around for tournaments. We pick up the dock and all. We don't even take the system out.
I could see that happening because they're going to play that one until it overheats or melts or something. And then they'll have the other one for all their other games. I could definitely see that.
Yeah, for sure. Some of the items they shown, they had a couple that were different and some of them were really funny. The banana gun is going to be interesting because you can pick it up. It looks like a normal banana, but then all of a sudden it's a one-hit heavy shot and then it still becomes a banana peel. So
I thought the Killing Edge, the next item, was from Final Fantasy, but I think Samurai Edge, and Killing Edge is actually from Fire Emblem.
I'm about to say, I think Killing Edge is Fire Emblem.
Yes.
So I originally thought, they're, because they're putting in items from other franchises. What did they get from Final Fantasy? So far, they get nothing.
You want your fighter to be a sword wielding Fire Emblem character? Here you go. Now you're a Fire Emblem character.
Oh my god! I just like Death's Scythe. You have can imagine so many people hanging on by a thread, and then somebody gets the scythe, and then that's it.
It's like a high damage hammer. And I'm wondering how many swings you get with it, and what percentage you have to be for an instant kill.
Oh, that's true.
Because I'm wondering, like, if you're like 100%, I was like, is 100% going to be your big one? Can you spin it fast enough for combos? So you might be able to hit somebody like 3 times and get them up to that point, and then kill them on the third.
Yeah, there's already fan art out there as Nessa's death, so they're already starting that.
Yeah, the bomber character is kind of funny. Lift it up and it'll explode, which seems like you have to kind of hold it up for a second, but whoever's holding it is immune.
We should hope so.
Yeah,
it's like the flag. You have to hold it for an amount of time.
Not nearly as long, but
no, not nearly as long. But you still have to not be hit while you're holding it up.
Right. The staff, which I'm not sure which game they pulled it from, but it's a projectile weapon. The damage increases the further you are from the target. So a little bit of damage in front of you, but like a knockout blast if you hit them across the stage. Which was kind of how the submarine gun was, the torpedo gun from the Wii U. Yep. If you hit them up close, it was damage, but if you hit them from a distance, it would speed up and cause more. So, who knows? Ramblin' Evil Mushroom. This one is just horrible. It reverses the opponent's controls.
I'm surprised it took this long for an Earthbound item like that to show up. It's terrible.
Too, but yeah.
I'm not looking forward to it. It's nice to see.
We'll see how that one goes. I think we have one item that we kind of blacklisted from our Smash Brothers games. They made me turn it back on, but I kept turning it off, which was the Bag of Winds.
I love that one.
Well, basically, if you used it, we just called you the Bag of Dicks. So, yeah. And then lastly, they showed off the Rage Blaster, which was, it's a laser gun, but the higher your damage percentage, the higher it does. So it's a risk reward. If you're really high damage and you grab it, you could do some serious damage, but you get hit easily. But if you're fresh, it's basically useless.
Actually, speaking of Rage, though, it sounds like that is another thing you'll be able to turn off. Because that was some people's problems with Wii U, is it was almost an automatic handicap that the more damage you had, the more damage you did. And it seems like they're also giving you the ability to turn that off. Because
that was only certain characters. It
was everybody. As soon as you got the steam coming out of you, you did more damage. They said that from the get-go.
Okay.
Well, I think it's the amount that you guys are thinking of, because you have a regular character like Mario, he'll deal a little more damage when he's near death, and then you have someone like Lucario whose whole gimmick is that. Exactly.
Yeah, but it seems like if it's not part of your character, because I was looking at the competitive scene to see what the competitors were thinking of the new Smash, and people like Zero, he was just like, actually, guys, it looks like you can turn off Rage, which everybody's going to love, because in the competitive scene, that wasn't fair. There was an automatic handicap.
Well, I mean, it's not really a handicap. It's just, you're struggling to survive. It's something you have to kind of make up for. And it's not the first fighting game that's done that. I think Street Fighter's had that effect before, too, when you get your life is so low on certain modes, or certain characters that your damage increases. And it's just kind of a variation on that. But we'll go ahead and jump into the main menu. I think we're almost done with Smash Brothers. God, there's a lot. They finally showed the main menu itself, which is now showing, your traditional Smash option, which is the only one they actually opened, which had Smash, Squad Strike, Tourney, Special Smash, and controller options. You had Games and More, Vault, Online. There was an unknown blurred section that was green, which green is normally like the story mode of some sort, either going to be Smash Rush or what was that one on the 3DS? Yeah, it was
Smash Run?
Smash Run, thank you. Or, the board game version that was on the Wii U, which was fun for a few times, but we never went back to it. And a lot of the other ones was always green. And then there's a side dashboard, which has got a home option, another blurred out option, which we think is tied to the green one, wireless settings, messages, general settings, and help. So I kind of like the layout, but we haven't had a chance to look through a lot of it. So we don't know what exactly is in Games and More, what's in the vault, what's in the box.
Yeah, what's in the box?
Online's kind of self-explanatory. It's going to be your online options, which, you know, the most we can really ask for that are they doing for fun and for glory again.
And I don't know if we talked about this or if they mentioned it in the direct, but I wonder how many Switches can hook up locally.
I don't know.
Will it require Smash the online membership? Will there be chat? There's a lot of stuff we don't know about it.
Well, for online, yeah, you're gonna have to have the online membership, but for like local connection, well, they've actually already answered that when they first showed the Switch. You can hook up 8 systems at a time. Because remember they showed it with Splatoon, they had 4v4. Yeah. So I don't see any reason why you couldn't have an 8-player Smash where everyone had their own screen.
Yeah,
that would be great.
And I think that's probably what that icon on the side is for, is connecting them up. Because it'd be great that it can run 8 off of, docked. That's the other thing. Can you do 8 off a single undocked Switch? I mean, it'd be stupidly tiny, but I wonder if they would limit the option.
It'd be tiny.
I could see them limit it to like 4 characters because it'd be kind of tight, maybe even 2. Not because it couldn't run it, but just because you can't see very well with more than 2 characters. I don't know. They could just be like, it's your choice. You do it if you want, I kind of would rather them have that option. Just let you do it, even if it sucks.
Yeah, 2 seems like the most viable option. Crack off 2 controllers and just play.
Yeah, I could see that being the easy one, just to hand a controller over and beat someone up in line. So the blurred section there, some people have, which we have no idea if this is a hoax or not yet, said they've kind of de-blurred part of it looking at it, and they found what they think is the word spirit, which could be tied in with the fact that, like we said earlier, so many characters are dying. Their spirits are there. So could these villains be coming in, killing them off, and you're having to go through this story mode? Maybe that's how you unlock characters. You save their spirits. I
think people are getting the wrong idea. If it has anything to do with spirit, I think it's just going to be their way of saying, kind of like how the Wii U did it, is it's just going to be where you can play the games that they're from. Not virtual console, but
see that has always been in the vault since the Wii and the Wii U and the 3DS. Those are always in the vault along with the trophies. It's because you're thinking of what was it called?
I don't actually think it's spirit. I think it's either going to be something to do with Amiibo or it'll be in the story mode.
That's actually a good point. We haven't seen anything about, the Amiibos are there, but we haven't seen like where they get connected, like any icon specifically for them.
That might have its own version of modes, everything from story mode to mini games. It can happen, I think.
I could see that probably being in Vault. It seems like Amiibos would be a Vault thing,
Nintendo loves you to use your old Amiibos over and over again on things. So don't think it's something.
I'm fine with that. That's, you buy an Amiibo and they keep adding function to it. It just makes it worth more.
Yeah.
Not like monetarily, but just like, okay, I bought this once. Now I have this whole selection of games I can use it for.
Yeah, I use a ton of my old Amiibos for Odyssey, so I can definitely see it.
Yeah, I used a lot for Zelda as well, which was fun.
And they keep making new ones, so
I keep
might as well keep the compatibility going.
Yeah.
All right, so next thing we're going to talk about is the insane amount of music.
My favorite part.
Roughly 900 tracks, 28 hours of continuous nonstop music. That's just insane.
Have assist trophies ever gotten their own tracks? Because I really want to remix Shovel Knight and Smash.
It could. They have a miscellaneous section. It might fit in there. And they've had, actually, yeah, they've had music based from games that were assist trophies or music that were never even represented.
I'm going to hope then. I'm just happy that the Mega Man X theme is in there.
Oh yeah, and the remix is usually pretty good. Because we have game night whenever we're done playing games. We go play Cards Against Humanity, stuff like that. We'll sometimes leave the Wii U on, go to music, and just tell it to randomly play songs, and that's like background music, and it's works out really well.
What I can't wait for somebody to find out is when they're using it as a music player, how long does the battery last?
I'll let you know because I'm going to do it. I'll have it at work and doing that.
Full charge, screen off. How long does it last? And then
I've got an aux jack in my car. It'll be plugged in. If the Switch had Bluetooth, it'd be that much better.
Otherwise, like as well as that, I'm going to be looking for like a physical soundtrack. Not that's like fan made.
I hope they do one, but they
one. It'll have to be quite a box set though.
But see, even the Wii U one, that was the biggest one they did, which was the 2-disc, and it still cut out a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
it was really good, but it was like 1-disc version.
So it was a mess.
Well, they don't want to license their own music that much. It's the third-party stuff that is going to be the issue. So
I'm going to be one of those mean people and be like, I'm glad they got all these 34 tracks from Castlevania, and they said some are new to the series, or to at all. And some people are mad that there's only 2 Final Fantasy songs. And I was like, well, there's only 2 tracks really that are memorable, and I know I'm going down a rabbit hole for Final Fantasy VII. And you can't go to the other Final Fantasies without getting some kind of representation, I guess.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind anything from 6. People wouldn't mind things from 10. But when people are like, oh, there's only 2 Final Fantasy tracks, and I was like, yeah, because
there's a whole game called Theater Rhythm, so there's enough music they can get pulled from.
There is that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that pulls from everywhere, so you can see where they get it from.
Yeah. If you can make an entire music game out of the amount of tracks you have, you've got enough.
Yep.
All right. So, music player is ridiculous. The new rule options, we'll go through these really quick because we're almost done, at least for this part. The new order of play, like I said earlier, is rules, stages, then fighters. So you pick how you're going to play, where you're going to play, and then you can pick your character based on that. So you're not, doing like me and picking Little Mac, and then all of a sudden you're in this little tiny level that you just go whoops and fly off the side. You can preset battle rules and save them, which is going to be great for our game night and stuff like that, where we're planning ahead. Stamina battle is no longer a weird option, but a full option for a mode. Pretty much bring it in line with more traditional fighting games. So I'm wondering how that's going to affect the tournament scene, where it's no longer damage and throw, but just doing damage. If that'll be a legit part of a tournament. Sudden death, 300%. Say what?
Speaking of stamina and being more traditional in the sense of fighting games, there's also a meter for final smashes now.
Yep.
Which is phenomenal.
That was actually, I think we're about to come to that. There was a sudden death, 300%, where the camera moves in slowly as the fight goes on, which is an interesting one-on-one, just a quick, what do you got? Let's do this. The final smash meter, like you said, it charges the meter throughout the fight, but it's a weaker version of the move. So it's not a guaranteed kill, but multiple people can have them going, but you can only do one at a time. So if you both get the meter and you try and set up, and it'll be a rush to who uses it first. So you can't be blocked.
I actually adore that. I think depending on how they, alter the rules, it should be in some kind of tournament going forward.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm almost like want to never use the regular Smash Ball again now that thing's in there.
Yeah, I mean the Smash Ball, the fight for it can be fun, but then you've got some characters that are not as good in the air trying to get damage on that thing, while others are just throwing things and hitting it and just getting the points. It worked a lot better because Smash, Samus's homing missile, stuff like that would kind of cheapen it a little bit.
I think if you have 8 people, Smash Ball is better choice, but when you have 4, give them the charge meters.
I want to see what all causes the charging. I know it goes over time, but is it affected by how well you're playing, damage giving, damage taken? Kind of like a Street Fighter meter is what I think of it as.
Yeah,
I'm just waiting to see 8 people charge up and unleash their smashes at the same time, and just wait for everything to go over.
Yeah. You can.
Yeah, well, you can do 8 one after the other is what end up happening. Like, oh, I did mine.
But then the the other 7 people wouldn't be able to get theirs if like Samus's beam hit all of them. So
yeah, because we don't know if you lose it, like like Little Mac loses his POW, his hit. If you get hurt, stuff like that. Do you maintain it when you die and come back? Is that a setting?
I think it should be that you lose it if you die, because it happens that way in Street Fighter. Why wouldn't it happen here?
True. No, well, your special meters in a lot of Street Fighters carry over between matches.
I think it depends on the game.
I agree. I think I believe so. Now this is kind of cool. The stage selection option, not only when you can pick it, but there's now multiple options for just stages. You can have you choose a level, just regular traditional one, choose an order. So it goes, I think, left to right or whatever order you have, where each person in turn is allowed to select the level. So no fighting or someone like jerking the control at the last second and hitting a button to, mess with each other. That happens a lot. Losers pick, which is kind of cool. In order. So you start at one point, work your way around the, round robin. Random, traditional random. Battlefield and Omega only. Battlefield only and Omega form only.
Those last 3 I feel are kind of new, which are nice. Because
you had the option in Wii U where you could click on it and make it Battlefield or Omega. You'd have to click on that and then make your selection. But like if you're in a tournament, if you want to have everybody be able to pick whatever one they want, but you want it to be, Omega only, you can click that. There's
I don't think you were
no accident.
Yeah, because I don't think you were able to do that when you picked random. It's just random. You couldn't do random Omega, random Battlefield. I don't believe
you could, as long as you selected it first and hit it. It would do that. Because sometimes if we're messing around and we're doing like 1-on-1, we'll do Battlefield or Omega, and we'll do random. You still select it and then hit random, and it works.
Oh, okay. Good.
Yeah, but this is more options, which is never bad.
Yep.
All right, so new battle mode. Speaking of options, we've got Squad Strike, which is kind of bringing in the old Marvel vs. Capcom style, where you can have 3v3 and 5v5. All right, as your character dies, your new one comes in and you cycle through them, so you can kind of, just wail at each other for a while. Tourney mode, as they specifically call it. Full tournament mode for 32 players, like we talked about earlier. Automatically generates your brackets, sets up matches based on preference of tournament style. So pretty much
CPUs is a godsend, because sometimes you have five people here and you're like, can't use this mode. And I'm like, I hate that.
It sucks if the CPU wins.
Well, that's great too, because then you're just like, let's try again and see if we can beat them or something like that.
True. Now this was a fun little change, was training mode. Very much like previous Street Fighter games, where the training map is only for training, but it has a measured grid and it actually calculates distance when you hit somebody. So it'll have 3 lines, one at 0% for how far they'll go, one at 50, I think, and they didn't clearly say it, but it's in the middle, and then one at 100%. So you can figure out how far someone's going to go at a particular amount of damage. So you can try and sweep in with, combos and learn how to do that, which I think is going to be a great, training tool for people that are professional or tournament players, Smash players.
I'm going to call that cheating at the sandbag mode.
The sandbag. Oh God, I hope those modes come back. I love the sandbag. I didn't even think about that.
I would love all those little extras. I hope if we don't get Subspace Emissary and or story mode in that green bit, I hope it's the mini games, because those were just as fun.
Yeah, because I keep forgetting. We play so much multiplayer. I keep forgetting. Like, man, the Wii U did have a lot of really good weird options. You can go in there and like bet money and go through and see how you're going to play and go through the board game type thing. There was, they had the sandbag. Then there was the one where it's a sandbag where you'd bounce it and try and hit the targets at the distance to see how much damage you could cause. We got nasty with those. It got ridiculous. And then also finally there's classic mode, which they're bringing back, but it's not just you pick it and you have to fight through all the characters. Each one has their own set of stages and enemies ready to go. So, if I play as Fox and go through it and you play as Mario and go through it, we're going to have different stages, different characters that we're set to face off on, which is kind of cool. They'll customize it by each character's strengths and weaknesses, I think.
That's pretty novel.
Because if you had everybody, you're going to run into characters that could be annoyingly complicated for yours, or it may be too easy for some parts, which could kill the fun.
There is that.
So, all right. What other things in here? We already talked about the rivals. I know we talked about general rivals, but just real quick, like a couple Echo characters you guys would like to see.
Well, I wouldn't mind seeing Ken or Akuma.
Okay.
For you, and there was another one I had in mind. Of course, I can't think of it now. Base or Proto Man.
You know, my son mentioned that earlier. I was going to mention Proto Man. I actually had him on the list for Mega Man because he's like, Base would be cool. And I was like, I don't know if people would know who Base is. I like where your head's at, but because Base would work, because if he was a Shadow or an Echo character, he would already have his dog. So it would just replace Rush.
Yeah, you can Base and Treble. That would be amazing.
That might actually work better. Well, damn. All right.
Why couldn't you just echo Duck Hunt Dog as Beat and Rush then?
That would be weird but amazing.
Wow, okay.
That would be like the weirdest crossover alt ability.
Some things would just work. It would just be an Echo character. You're like, oh, they picked that one for an Echo character, but it would work.
Beat and Rush.
But I know other people would look at like, okay,
you're a glorious madman.
You want what's her name? Jean for Bayonetta's Echo, but I'm like, that I don't think is good enough. I think
that'd be more of a costume change because they're so similar. But
I'm all for them taking something unconventional and making it to another character like Beat Rush, because some people have said, like, could you do Bowser Jr. but make that Dr. Wily and his little thing?
Or Dr. Eggman.
Or Dr. Eggman, because they both have their little orbs underneath them, so it could technically work, but they wouldn't be the right size.
I feel like I came unprepared for this reference battle.
But what works for them is because you see some of the other Echo fighters kind of like Crom, and Crom's supposed to be muscular and bigger, so you're like, maybe there's a chance that an Echo fighter could be proportionally different but carry the same animation.
Well, it's not even so much they can be proportionally different. They can even have some different animations. They're just so similar. I mean, if you look at Simon and Richter, there are animation differences. There's even a little bit of physicality difference to them, which may be part of what their differences are.
Look at Classic Mode. Classic Mode kind of gives it away again. You can still do giant modes of characters. So you can have a giant Yoshi in Classic Mode that you fought against. So by them showing that one thing off, I thought to myself, so Wily and Eggman are possible. You just make a bigger hitbox. They can still keep all their same moves, their punching gloves, and then when they do their little characters, instead of the one from Super Mario World, you're getting their specific characters. So there is a possibility opening up and using pre-existing animation skeletons. So using Bowser Jr. for them to bring in two rivals really easily.
I think if they did that, they'd probably be one-off characters. They would be just for those modes, not actual playable. Is probably how that would end up going, but it would still be cool to see.
Feels a little much for an Echo fighter.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, I think we've actually covered everything Smash Brothers for the moment. Dear God.
My God.
I had the one note, dear Lord, this game is going to be giant.
You were right.
Wrong. Yeah. Jiminy Christmas. That's a lot of Smash Brothers. All right. So we actually have two other stories to cover. So we're going to move on to our next kind of oddball one. Bethesda blocks resale of used games. Read this originally over on Polygon.com. This is kind of a weird turn of fate. It's like Bethesda's been like this, been making really good games, supporting, pushing out games without having as much DLC constantly or requiring it. They've been doing really good, supporting the Switch. We got Wolfenstein 2 is on the Switch, which I didn't like the fact that they made you download part of it, but I'm impressed that it's on there and how well it runs. We've got Doom was amazingly good on the Switch. I was shocked at how well that worked, and I actually have no problem going in and playing that. When I'm traveling.
I'm feeling that sold a lot of Switches too.
And now we're getting Doom Eternal.
Yeah, day one. It was announced at the same time. And damn it, Bethesda had to go and do something stupid to make me not like him for the moment. So Bethesda Softworks recently sent out a notice to at least one Amazon Marketplace seller who was selling a sealed copy of The Evil Within 2 and demanded the removal of the listing. The buyer in question originally bought the game thinking he was going to buy a PS4. He never opened it and ended up customizing and buying a gaming PC instead. So obviously the game had no use to him at this point. So he put it on there and was marked it as new because it was still sealed, never opened it, and was going to sell it. And he received a letter from Bethesda stating that he had to cease and desist selling the game. And the reasons he gave for it were kind of weird, but there was a number. He got the letter. The number was included for seller of Bethesda's games to call, which suggests the company is sending this out to multiple sellers. So more than one person is getting this. They're trying to call it argue that he is not an authorized reseller and therefore was unlawful to actually try to make the excuse that he couldn't call it new because it was false advertising because he didn't include the retailer's warranty.
There's a lot to that.
Oh, it gets better. For a lot of people that, are aware of how a lot of this stuff works for buying things and owning things, there's something called the first sale doctrine that's in place to allow a customer to resell, alter, destroy, etc. property that they purchase without consent from the original creator or seller unless a contract is signed stating otherwise. That's kind of a summarization I made of it earlier, but if you buy a car and you go and you want to paint it bright pink with, leopard polka dots, the car manufacturer cannot come up and go, sorry, you can't do that. We won't allow it. It's your car. You can do with it as you please. As long as it's not impeding on an actual law.
Now there is a caveat to that. If on certain occasions, very rarely, but when you could actually buy the Lugia and Pikachu cars when they were no longer used to promote the games, but you actually had to sign.
A little side note for that, and I'll have to bring out the paperwork and show it to you. I actually won that. And then because I live in the state of Florida, Cartoon Network voided the contest and sent me the paperwork and stuff stating that I'd won the car, but could not get it. I actually have it framed in the house.
What?
When I saw it on eBay,
fact on that one.
When I saw it on eBay and then I was looking into it as well, you basically have to sign a contract from Nintendo saying you will not alter that car. It has to stay looking like Lugia. It has to stay looking like Pikachu for its entire life.
Right. Well, that's why I said, in there without consent from the original creator or seller, unless a contract is signed stating otherwise. Because that's like with the Ferrari. If you buy one, you have to keep it red for certain models. They are not allowed to be painted, changed, altered, anything. They are red or you forfeit the right to own the car.
That is bizarre.
Makes you wonder.
Because that color red, that specific design is so iconic, and they're so limited on how many they make. They make it a requirement that this is an emblem of our company out there. You own it, you can drive it. You are one of the few lucky the ones that can get one. But here's the caveat: you have to have this exception, and that falls under you made that agreement at the time of purchase. If you didn't like that, you don't buy it.
It makes you wonder if Bethesda on the inside of the case, when you look at it, if they ever altered their terms and agreement, and we just never.
Well, that was actually a court case a couple years ago. I remember of the court case, but I don't remember the exact statute of it. I need to look that up and remember it. But somebody challenged that with all their information for these user agreements because you don't get to see it until you open the case. But the act of opening the case means you agree with it, whatever it says.
Mm-hmm.
And the judge,
user agreements, we're so blind to them since they're so long in any case.
Well, even beyond that, though, the judge ruled that they cannot enforce those, especially in those instances where you you buy this item, you open it, and you're saying because you opened it without knowing it's in there or what it says, you just blindly agree to it. Like, you can't do that. Plus, you can't have it, we're talking about minors are opening these things without any parental consent or anyone looking over this documentation before you're saying this child agreed to it.
Yeah, exactly.
So they had to throw that out
for a contract.
Yeah, because they thankfully have not pushed it too much, but they could put whatever they want in there and then try and push you with it. Which that's a slippery slope type argument. I don't want to go into too much of that, but still, but the letter the letter had in there saying, unless you remove all Bethesda products from your storefront, stop selling any and all Bethesda products immediately, and identify all sources of Bethesda products you are selling, we intend to file a lawsuit against you. It also states that a lawsuit would seek disgorgement of profits, compensatory damages, attorney's fees, and investigative and other costs. And this was just to a guy selling on Amazon, just trying to sell this game that he bought that he never played.
I'm going to be one of those people, though. I know this is I guess more controversial, but I'm not agreeing with Bethesda's actions, but I'm not exactly 100% on the story yet, because for hundreds upon thousands of games to be sold daily on eBay and Amazon and Letgo and all these other sites, have only one incident.
This is one instance that the article was written about. There's others that have gotten these letters, and when you call the number that's on there, it talks about all these different ones that they're wanting them to stop selling these games, that they don't want the third party involved. And if you take all their stuff off their sites and stop selling them, because they looked at it, and that's the weird thing. Like, some people are getting the letter, some aren't, but there's no difference on what's really going on there.
The article in question didn't really say multiple people. It just said this guy. It didn't say a lot of people were getting the letters. It was saying when they called the number and looked into the law firm that this is what was listed.
Right. They had the number listed when you called about that, but then the what was it? They were talking about when you called, it was not for a general person, but it was for other people getting this letter. Basically, like, it's been sent out to multiple people, for one reason or another, and this is just the one they were reporting on, but there are other ones out there.
I want somebody else to come forward saying, I got one of those letters too, because then I know it's not even an isolated incident. It's something that's really out there. Because
that's kind of the thing, though. It's almost a moot point. Even if it is only an isolated incident, there's no precedence that they can just come up and go, you can't sell that, even though you own it. They have no right to any of that.
Yeah, it almost feels like an experiment, kind of like how DLC has become way farther than it should have been until a government actually stood up and said, stop, this is gambling.
Even Bethesda themselves, they were like, here's horse armor for a bunch of money. And people pushed back hard, and they were like, oh, okay, well, we know to trim it back a little bit and lower the cost.
But if they want to, quote, three-step approach to stopping unauthorized online sales on eBay and otherwise, why aren't they, why can't I see a link where I can read this? Why isn't there a published number? This isn't a private number you're calling. This is a number where they're telling you what not to do.
I think actually the link, the letter was on there, I believe. Let me look. Carry on. I'm just looking.
Because, I think this is a very slippery slope, and it can be really damaging to the company itself, especially the same day as QuakeCon, where they show off their new Doom and they show off everything else. And a lot of times I feel like, is this getting confused with something more of like selling online accounts because you have Elder Scrolls Online?
Well, this isn't even for something like that. This is I believe it's just a single player. I haven't played Evil Within 2 yet. It's a single player game that this person bought. They never opened, and they're just selling it because they don't have a need for it. And they're getting a letter from this company stating that they can't.
It does seem it seems like it's a step too far, because ownership, once you own something, you should be able to sell it.
Right. And people have argued like, oh, you don't own the IP. It's like, yes, I get that. I have my copy of Smash Brothers Melee. I own that disc. I can do with that disc as I please. I don't own Smash Brothers. I can't go affect somebody else's copy. But if I so choose to go sell that copy, Nintendo has no right to say whether I can or not. It's my copy. And, they can have a legal right to say that I can't maybe copy it for some reason, because then I am dealing with the data inside of it, copying it one way or the other, get that lovely gray area. But the actual act of ownership and sell is mine.
I think I think Bethesda's just worried because it's an unopened sealed copy, and they're worried that this may lead to mass sale of unsold owned copies. This is the only thing. I'm trying to play devil's advocate here.
Their only argument on the fact it was new wasn't even the fact that it was sealed. They didn't dispute the fact it was sealed, and the guy even said he would just open it, whatever. But they were saying that because it didn't have the warranty through the company, that they wouldn't honor it, that it couldn't be considered new, which is really getting nitty gritty with the wording. And I think what Polygon pointed out and said, which I thought was kind of point, it's more like they're trying to set a precedence than they're actually trying to do something.
Yeah,
because
that sounds about right.
Dangerous.
Because, when you go to Vorage's website, there's no mention of games, there's no mention of ZeniMax, there's no mention of Bethesda, there's no mention of what type of products. It's very generic product. So I'm wondering if Boris is overstepping their boundaries here, and then Bethesda's not getting wind to it. That's why as well as they haven't given a comment yet, because you have to be very careful what you say in these situations, is I want to know their side, and I want to know, has more than one person received this letter? Because it seems like some of this, because dealing with eBay and dealing with stuff that's fraudulent, as we were talking before the podcast with like emulators and stuff like that, is you're going to have these knockoffs or your unauthorized sales of products, transactions, and to not hear from the company themselves, yes, can be suspicious, can be telling, but on the other end, it's not very specific what this law firm is protecting other than just online sales of products, and not giving us more into what those products entail. So, I'm kind of wondering if there was a mixed signal somewhere, because, I feel to jump the gun and be like, I'm going to blacklist this company, is kind of weird yet, because I would wait for an official word myself, because all we have is one person's testimony of what happened to him. We don't have any pictures of what he got letter-wise.
Polygon did get the letter. They have a copy of it. They may not publish it because it's a legal document, but they are staking on their reputation that they have seen the letter. So I kind of want to lean into that, because that is their word on that one. I'll give them benefit of the doubt.
And that itself could be a form letter. Is it specifically mentioning your copy of Evil Within 2?
Well, it had a number included on there that everyone was supposed to call if you got that letter. So it felt like a form letter from what they said. And you call it and it starts talking about, why you have to stop selling it, take everything down, tell them where you got it. And I'm like, seems kind of weird. But if you go over to their lawyer's site, law firm of Voris.
Yeah, I was reading through it trying to find something that kind of...
There are 3-step approach to stopping unauthorized online sales on eBay. And they list under what is known as the first sales doctrine. Once a trademark owner, the company, sells a product, the buyer ordinarily can resell the product without infringing the owner's mark, as I had said before. However, the first sale doctrine does not apply when a reseller sells a trademarked good that is materially different from the company's genuine goods. What that is, if you're modifying it, trying to resell it as something different. But they then use that as a loophole. Their next point that they list, case law has established a few important principles relating to material differences. This includes that 1, the threshold of materiality is considered low, and 2, only a single material difference is necessary to give rise to a trademark infringement claim, and 3, material differences do not have to be physical differences. So they're trying to say that any copy of any Bethesda game doesn't have that warranty. Thus, it's a material difference. Thus, you can't sell it. Which, if that is set as a precedent, could be used on a lot of things to stop sales of anything. Like these headphones I'm wearing, I didn't buy these new from Astro. I bought these from somebody else. Under that ruling, because these don't have the original warranty, it was an illegal sale for me buying these headphones from somebody else because I did not buy them from Astro directly.
Part of me, a part of me wants to know more, and then the other part of me wants to see if they actually follow through on something like this, because I want to know if this is something, again, where somebody jumped the gun, where communications were miscommunicated, misinterpreted. Right. I'm kind of needing more information. I'm not going to say guilty or innocent right away because this came out of the blue. Polygon's saying, yeah, we've seen this and that. And I'm like, okay, you guys have seen that. Can we get one more situation like where this is happening to somebody? Can we? Because he's not the only person selling Evil Within right now on eBay. He's not the only person selling Evil Within right now on Amazon Marketplace. Right. So it couldn't have just, thrown a dart on a board and said, we're going to go after this guy as kind of a scapegoat for everyone, or to show everybody not to do this. Hey, as a law firm, you get more money for prosecuting more people. So.
Yeah, it just opens up a lot of doors that would be very, very bad for Bethesda if they're basically dictating what can and cannot be sold in the new and used market. Not only just for their own company, but you're giving other companies excuses to do things like that. And that is, I assume, what's really making people upset.
Here's evidence they have for the fact there is more than one letter. I'm reading on the Polygon article here again. This appears to be the basis of Bethesda's legal claim against HUP. Bethesda is a notoriously litigious company, which we know of before. It's not clear how many similar letters have been out to people selling its games online, but Voris's voicemail message for Bethesda's used game cases tells callers to leave details based on the letter you have received, such as a storefront name. It also thanks recipients of the letter if they have ceased sales of Bethesda software. So it's aimed at a larger group. Like they shotgunned these letters out and they're trying to get someone to bite. This is why it kind of seems more like they're going for precedence than an actual individual.
But as a lawyer, though, as a law firm, I'm not speaking like I know the legal terms, but that can be used as a scare tactic, too. You can say, like, we've sent these letters out to a lot of people, so you better stop. Like,
yeah, it's still kind of odd, though, as they put, but threatening individual customers with lawsuits for selling games they own is a massive overreach, which
like,
I have to agree it is.
Like, this whole thing is foggy, and until we get, the word from the horse's mouth, with Armor DLC, until we get the horse's mouth themselves giving us the, how they respond to this, even if they give us a canned response, that is admitting that it's happening.
Right. I understand. I mean, this is something we're going to have to keep a look on, but I just think it is Bethesda attempting, whether, they're going to admit to it or not, from the letters they've sent and the way it looks, a very dangerous precedent to try and change how material ownership works in regards to these, these items.
This reminds me of the case of the guy. If you look up, I'm not sure how the outcome was. I believe he won, but he had Sirius Radio and he recorded stuff on Sirius Radio. Sirius got after him saying, "You can't do that," and he's like, "Yes, I can. Not only is it radio, but I'm not selling it, and I'm keeping the music to play in my car. I'm never putting it on a disc. I'm I'm replaying it myself." And he's like, "You can go after me 100% legally if I'm selling this, but I paid for your service. I'm getting your Sirius XM. I'm allowed to record it." And I believe he won that when they're like, "You're altering our terms and agreements." And he's like, "No, I'm not."
Yeah, that's false. That's falling under the fair use, I think, for how they're doing, or backups, which it is legal to make backups. So I don't know. This is going to be one that we're going to have to keep an eye on. I don't think it's going to be over right away, but I just thought it was important given I'm a games collector. I've been collecting games for 30 years. I buy used games all the time because I have to. I mean, for God's sakes, the newest system I just bought is an Atari 7800. Tell me what store sells that now. it was in the box, by the way. It was actually pretty cool.
Stuff like this reminds me of the day one passes from years past, where people were like, "That's gonna ruin my games because then I can't play them anymore if things were locked behind an online code to activate my game."
And I have games I can't play anymore because of that. That I bought brand new and never got to use because they died from their own stuff.
And those were dark days because all this stuff was locked behind a code, and then some companies released it in the game programming itself. Mm-hmm. Other ones said you don't need it; you just need to press a few buttons. Then other never took the time to fix it, so those games are just lost in the wind.
Well, like, do you remember back? This is a while back for PC. Spore from EA.
Yeah.
I bought the collector's edition of that. Had it day one. Got it home, and they hadn't told anybody about all the security stuff they had on it, which ended up wrecking my computer. So after it installed, it messed the computer up. I had to redo everything. It then treated that as a second install, still had a problem, and then locked me out of it. And they wouldn't give me another code or anything. And I can't even play it. So I have a collector's edition of Spore that is useless to this day. But if I had just gone and downloaded it and stole it, it ran fine.
Yeah, same thing happened with Ubisoft.
I was punished for buying it.
Ubisoft was just like, you can do it on 4 computers and then you're done. And people are like, but it counts when I reinstall it.
Well, I mean, it was counting when people were changing their disk drive or adding new RAM. If it was anything that changed the profile of the computer from that moment, it would mess with it. And you can't do that.
That's like when
I'm sorry, you can't drive your car anymore. You've changed your tires.
Yeah, it was back when they said they couldn't. It's the new SimCity. They were, if you didn't pass the server, you couldn't play the game. And they said, we can't just turn that off. And then they turned it off.
Oh, yeah. That's a whole nother discussion of companies that talk out their ass. They're all guilty of that one way or the other.
Xbox can't just flip a switch and come back with compatible. Yes, it can.
Well, in that case, it wasn't really flipping a switch. They did have to go in and make those parts. Now, once they had it done, they can tweak them from that point. And
I'm talking about Xbox One. They just said, now you can play 360 games.
That's actually...
It was a complicated switch, but they flipped the switch.
Well, part of that was by development. That's like, saying the Super Nintendo should have been able to play Star Fox day one, even though they had to develop the chip to make it work on the Super Nintendo. The Xbox One couldn't play those games originally, but then they did stuff like Rare Replay, where they went back, built these emulators, built these ways to, work with the equipment, and like, oh, okay, we can make this work. Here's how we do it. They had a whole thing that they did a whole little documentary on, which was really cool to watch. And now they're like, we can have almost 100% right off the bat with all these games. What holds up a lot of them is not that they can't do it. It's the licensing. Will the developers, the publishers allow this game to be backwards compatible? Pretty much if it's been made by Microsoft, they're like, yeah, it's here. Here you go. We're putting it out there. So
you'll never get an older Madden. That's licensed.
No, you'll never get a Madden. I was actually shocked we got some of the Call of Duties. But some of them came back and did pretty good. Like, Rockstar put out Red Dead Redemption, and that runs beautifully on the Xbox One X. So it's nice to see some of these games. And then they went back further and worked on it with the original Xbox, and they got that working, which that's even further back in time, that much more licensing issues. Because back then they weren't planning on digital re-release or newer consoles and stuff like that. So music wasn't licensed correctly, things like that.
Yeah, we're living in a more digital age, so it's scary because things can just be removed. So when people talk about like, oh, I love having everything digital, and I'm like, then they run out of the license. Like, you can't play Transformers anymore for the 360 or go online with those, and they will be pulled off of all the stores. So what happens to your Steam copy when it authenticates or anything like that? Can you still play that, or do you just have a husk of a game? Like it happens to these licenses that run out. But if you have it physical, there's nothing stopping you from fully playing it because it's not checking anything for you to play it.
Yeah, I mean, the online part still doesn't work because I still have those games, but that's just because the server is no longer there to talk to.
Yeah.
If you could find a way to readdress it, you could make your own server and figure it out. But yeah.
Thank you, Microsoft, for working with EA and giving us Burnout Revenge on Xbox One X. But you can't look at your screenshots that you used to have, your videos, and you can't play online with friends. It is a single-player affair, and it's missing a chunk of its game, which is really unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be EA on that one for just how they rebuilt it. But I can understand why you can't look at the screenshots you had and so forth, because they did change the engine. They made updates to it. But on the flip side, I can crank up Burnout Revenge, and it runs beautifully on the Xbox One X backwards compatible. I can't bring the game saves over because it's a new format, which
and I'm okay with that.
That's a caveat. I get that.
I'm okay with not watching my replays, but a big part of that was playing Takedown with friends. And
see, the nice thing is the Xbox 360 games, because this kind of boils down to asking somebody, well, why didn't you solve that problem yesterday that you didn't know about till now? You know, they built the 360, and then towards the end of it, they started doing where you can have online saves. And that's the saving grace of why the 360 games, I could carry it over and pick up on the Xbox One. But the original Xbox didn't have anything like that.
Because Burnout
their version of portable memory was a memory card.
Yeah, because Burnout carried my save. I have all my cars and I have my progress still in there, but
Me too.
Anything that was stored on their server is gone, which hurt. So
that kind of mean you can't really expect the online stuff to last forever.
I just wish that some of that stuff they gave you, kind of like Miiverse, gave you the ability to back that up, because all they are saved videos. Give us the ability to maybe download the video to our hard drive before they shut off the server. Some companies allow it, some companies don't.
Miiverse, you can go right now and find everything you ever put up on Miiverse and download it and keep it.
Yeah, because that one they were like, "Hey, we're backing it up." So that was great.
Yeah, they had someone basically crawl the server and pull it down, but Nintendo let them. They didn't stop them or say they couldn't do it.
Nintendo actually gave you the option to download your stuff too. They're like, "Click this link and we'll give you all your Miiverse."
So they've gotten a little better about that kind of understanding. But all right, so on to our last one, talking about copying stuff. Now, former IGN editor Filip Miucin was fired from IGN for plagiarizing a Dead Cell review from YouTuber Boomstick Gaming. All my quotes and everything I pulled from Kotaku.com is where I got the story. But you guys heard about this one?
Yep. I even watched the Boomstick video where he kind of did a side-by-side to even show it to you plain as day.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that video, but I've heard a lot about the problem.
Yeah, there's more than one video now. There's like 4 of them, I think. Plus Kotaku just found another one. Boomstick Gaming posted a video titled IGN copied my Dead Cells review. What do I do? Showed examples of review and what came up with Miucin's review, how similar they were. And I saw a little bit of that where it went back and forth, and little bits of it, you'd almost be like, okay, they had similar thought. And then it keeps going and you're going, never mind. It's not the fact that, both of you were writing about an apple. It's the fact that he wrote a paper about that apple describing little things and you took every one of them.
He's not taking a good quote. He's taking all of the quotes.
Right. He didn't simply point out that this other reviewer liked it for this reason, which would have been completely legitimate. IGN may not have liked it, but he at least would have quoted his source. He just said it was his work. And it's kind of, once it came out, IGN caught a lot of slack from it, which I personally don't think IGN themselves should get blamed too much on that one. It's kind of hard to juggle that many people and figure out every little thing is going to be covered. You trust the people you've hired to do their work.
Yep.
But when they did find out, okay, this accusation came up, they took it seriously. They took down the review immediately. And then as soon as they determined this is what's going on, within the same day, they fired him. He was gone. Maybe for legal reasons, they worded it as they decided to part ways, maybe giving him a chance to leave before they had to fire him, which I've seen jobs do that with people, and it went from there. IGN's been getting crap about it, but Philip was kind of quiet for a little while. And then he wasn't and just kept digging that hole. IGN did finally respond. They stated they were, as was quoted to Kotaku, as a group of writers and creators who value our own work and that of others in our field, the editorial staff at IGN takes plagiarism very seriously. And In light of concerns that have been raised about our Dead Cells review, we've removed it for the time being and are investigating. Now, God, some of Filip's quotes. Do you guys want to read any of those?
Oh Lord,
It's
what we got?
Well, it didn't help him when he's like, the bottom line is what happened with the Dead Cells was not at all intentional. And then he said, I just want to apologize to everyone at IGN for all the undeserved criticism and doubt that may have been sparked in their credibility as a respected source for games media. But to say that it was not intentional for him to say so much of it.
You can even give him benefit of the doubt, going like, he made a mistake. This is a one-time thing. And then we find out it's not.
And then you look deeper, and then you find out that there was a separate issue, albeit with a smaller media group called Nintendo Life, where he had.
I say that's not really a smaller media group. That's what's kind of blatant about it. They're well known.
Well, when it comes to, I guess, like viewership, like you can't get bigger than IGN because they cover everything. But then you have something more
for his IGN time.
But then you have FIFA 18.
Mm-hmm.
Then looking in even a little deeper, you're like, oh wait, you also did it with Samus Return. So you did it fairly recently, but nobody really kind of put the two together yet. They really weren't looking out for, when you see a review, your first thought is, where did I read this already? So since this was somebody who actually said, hey, somebody took my work, that kind of opened up a can of worms, unfortunately, for Filip, where now his past work was scrutinized. Because when something happens, especially when in terms of copying or plagiarizing, it's never going to be the only thing that you plagiarize. People are now going to look at all your past works. You're going to be judged as a whole, unfortunately, for him.
He's pretty much dead in this job.
Like that in journalism, that would kill your field, because then people don't, kind of like if you tampered with evidence, the whole court case is thrown out, because then you don't know, what was done wrong through the whole thing. This is the same deal where now that he's plagiarized, what do we know of the validity of any of your other reviews, editorials, anything you might have done, except for your maybe in-person interviews? That's probably the only thing you couldn't plagiarize, because you have to do that for the most part on the fly. But
yeah, and I mean, other reviewers are pissed at him for doing this. Developers aren't happy with him for doing this. Even if he tried to bring back his YouTube page and continue that, developers aren't going to want to talk to him. They're not going to want anything to do with him. The only person
there are people who would still watch him, though. The people who would, who don't care about this sort of thing, the people who like sensationalism. These kind of things won't necessarily destroy someone who has a YouTube channel, and he's definitely not the first person to have done something like this.
And you're right.
It's very kind of out there, the fact that the only person that's really reached out that tried to get him on there is Colin Moriarty, which has a whole slew of issues with himself. I'm not a big fan of him at all, for different reasons, but I'm like, if he goes down that route, that's just, ugh. He's to the dark side.
Own fans. So when there's controversy, it garners fans, because there's people who are going to be like, almost like I am with Bethesda, where they're just like, I don't see anything wrong right now, so I'm going to support
people who just don't like IGN.
Yeah, I've seen that a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember I was published on IGN once for an article I wrote a couple of years ago about my daughter, and the responses I got in there were usually really good. Pierre Snyder's a really awesome guy for a lot of the stuff he did, but there was people that would hop on there just to comment and said some of the nastiest shit ever about me, about my daughter, about all this other stuff.
And those people just want attention, honestly.
And that's kind of where I did get a lot of respect for them, because immediately I messaged Pierre and I was like, this is what's going on. These people are saying these things. And it wasn't a minute later. That guy's, his comments weren't just gone. He was completely wiped from the entire site. He did not have a presence or existence on that website anymore. And I was like, holy shit. I just invoked the nuclear option on somebody. So, but, I mean,
in all honesty, like, yeah, in the journalism field, his thing is dead, but in the, I guess, YouTuber field, he might still have something because of the sensationalism. Because I can honestly say I had no idea who this person was.
He can cover video games for Fox News, maybe.
Or I didn't even know that they even hired an IGN guy in Nintendo. I heard a few people who had their brand new Twitter accounts and were just like, today's my first day at blah blah blah, and people are like, yay, go this guy. But I never really took note of a lot of these names. So I would remember Pierre. I remember,
Well, like I've been reading this stuff and watching
Jose.
this stuff from IGN, like all the way back with Matt Casamassina, Matt Bozon, and then you've got Jose Otero.
Yeah.
Which, Matt left to go work, I think, with Nintendo and then Apple. Matt Bozon, they left and they ended up making what was it, the Shantae series? Like they worked with Way Forward, so that guy really made some stuff. Jose Otero, I think, just got hired by Nintendo. He's doing stuff for them. So they had really good people that were getting recognized for the legitimate work they did, which I'm sure this is probably bugging the hell out of Jose because he was an English teacher. And he's like, you guys replace me with a plagiarist?
Yeah.
That's got to be bothering him. But I mean, they'll carry on and go from there. IGN will weather it, and I think they did the right thing, pulling it immediately, re-reviewing the game, not even trying to salvage any of it, just wipe it. They had somebody else who was already playing it. They had him hurry and finish it and get, he wrote up his own review. And of course, people were making comments. Oh, did you copy this one too? But that's to be expected. You cannot weather that without dealing with that issue. So they'll continue on from there. And I think they'll be much more cautious about who they hire and their writing credentials.
Yeah.
Where they will deeply vet the next person. Like they will look at their previous work and check for things like this more. Because I'm sure they did. I'm sure they looked at some of it. They may not have gone crazy.
Like Mark, if they ever introduce, like, we have a new Nintendo editor, everybody's going to be like, does this one plagiarize too? They're immediately going to be judged. So he's got,
there's no avoiding that.
Yeah.
But it kind of gets worse with the thing with Filip, because after all of this happened, he actually he came back and made it worse. He became kind of cocky over the situation and called out Kotaku themselves, writer Jason Schreier, pointing out a past review Miucin did for FIFA 18 that appears to also blatantly copy the one that Nintendo Life published, like you said before. And Miucin was quoted as saying, "You can keep looking, Kotaku, and please let me know if you find anything." Which, by the way, their news editor, Jason Schreier, tried to imply that my FIFA 18 review was also inauthentic by claiming that I copied it from Nintendo Life, and that's just so not the case. Maybe he was implying that if you have similarly opinionated reviews, then you're just plagiarizing. Or maybe he's just trying to get as many clicks off my name right now as possible. Or maybe he just likes kicking people when they're down. I don't know. Check it out for yourselves and be the judge. Well, two things happen with this. You don't screw with Schreier because he went and found multiple instances. Not just one, multiple. And two, Nintendo Life is not that small and they're not that quiet. So Chris Scullion, the freelance writer who reviewed FIFA 18 for Nintendo Life, also chimed in last night to respond to Miucin. And this whole quote is taken verbatim from Kotaku. I can't believe you're actually suggesting you didn't plagiarize my FIFA 18 review for Nintendo Life and claiming that plagiarizing the Dead Cell review wasn't intentional, Scullion wrote on Twitter. You have completely failed to accept and understand what you've done.
There's something I tend to notice about people like this. It feels like apology is poison, and it's better to go down fighting than actually admit that you've done something. That's what it feels like. I don't know if it's an internet disease or
I've
what.
been that way before. I'll admit it. I've been that way where you find out you're wrong about something, but you just have to be right. You want to fight it. And since I'm kind of glad I've actually learned that lesson, just like, yeah, I'm wrong. Let's move on.
So like, I know this is going to sound bad, like I'm stoking like another fire, but when I saw the video thumbnail for his apology and that he was calling out people to prove it, I'm just like, why does this guy his look and demeanor just remind me of Logan Paul, where we're getting more in. We're getting more.
He hasn't caused an international incident, so he's not that much.
We're getting more insincere words, and then we're getting challenges thrown out. I was just like, "What are you doing? Like, take ownership, and that's it." But instead, he's just like, "I dare you to find more of my work It's like, so you want us to completely like invalidate everything you've ever done? It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
it feels like it's better to go down with the ship fighting. I don't understand the mentality myself, but I've never been in that situation. Maybe it's a surge of adrenaline, a hope that maybe someone will screw up and then you'll be remembered for fighting back.
I mean, I understand he was talking about the fact in some of his other stuff he wrote that people were sending him nasty and threatening messages, sending his family and friends those messages.
Well, that's
okay. He did something stupid. He's not owning up to it. You don't threaten people about it. You don't say these things to people that had nothing to do with it. His kid had nothing to do with it. His wife probably had nothing to do with it. You don't just assume that until there's evidence saying the otherwise. If they find out that she supported her to help them find the articles, but you still don't threaten.
The kid wrote the articles, typed them up.
As far as like hate the player, not the game. It's like
right.
Same mentality. Like he did it.
This is like what we were talking about earlier. You can criticize without being nasty.
Yeah,
without being doing that. Now, the Scullion went on, and this is another thing on Kotaku to look at. He made a video highlighting many similarities between his review and his own for FIFA. And what I love the most is the cover art he made for it was taken from Grand Theft Auto, and he redid it where it says Grand Theft Author.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that was like, this man knows how to mess with people. I applaud you.
That's clever.
Yeah. So I know it's not the best thing to end on is a possible Bethesda going lawsuit crazy and someone stealing stuff.
We got two things. I think one is kind of cut and dry. Filip plagiarized the end because the evidence is like it's just piling up. And then on the Bethesda side, I'm kind of taking it as right now it's a shot in the dark. Who did it?
Right.
Going on.
More information is needed, but it should be aware of what's going on.
But
the important thing is that
it's a shot in the dark. There could be murder. Like it could be something a lot worse is happening here, but we need to know more.
What were you gonna say, Chris?
Well, just the important thing is that these things are brought to light and talked about so that they're not forgotten.
Yeah.
So, as
even
long
as
as we keep seeing these things happen,
Agreed.
for better or for worse, as long as the public knows that Bethesda's trying to be weird about this stuff, that people are plagiarizing, that just leaves us out in the open to find this and possibly prevent it in future, or at least be more vigilant.
Plus, you got to realize by this happening, you're going to have people like Tango Works and all these other companies that work with Bethesda saying, "What are you doing? Like, this is not our intent for our games that you are publishing." So it is going to go deeper to these other companies that are published by Bethesda saying, "I hope this isn't what's going on because this is not our intent because this could hurt them as a company."
Right, and like I said, I agree with the fact that we don't know if this is Bethesda directly. Could it be their parent company ZeniMax? Could this be, as you stated before, the law firm acting on its own volition under their name? Sending out this stuff before they even are aware of it. And it's all going to come down to, and it's going to be tricky to see if they have any quotes or information because it is a legal matter regardless. Even if it was one of those other two cases, they may not be allowed to say anything about it. So we'll have to see if more people come through with the letters or if people are just too scared to, fight back with the things they threaten in there, basically. Of if you don't do this, here's the full force we're going to come down on you with. How much money you got? You're just selling a game on eBay, I don't know. Me and my wife do pretty well for ourselves for as much as we work, but if something like that came down to it, I don't think I could fight it. I couldn't afford it.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people are like waking up really quickly to this situation because it kind of echoes and reminds you of Napster days and LimeWire, where a grandmother downloaded an album of classical music or like some church songs, and then the company Warner Brothers Music says, we want $10,000 from this lady, and then they do try to get that from her. So it gives you that.
For that one, it was like $53,000 a song or something. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, like they price a song to recover like way too much, and that it was a whole can of worms. So it reminds you of that, and you're just like, this could go really bad if we don't find answers.
That was back in 2012. Minnesota woman to pay $220,000 fine for 24 songs.
Yeah.
Basically, one album costs twice as much as my house.
This might all just be a scare tactic, and let's hope it is.
Yeah. Even with a scare tactic, though, my main concern is the shotgun effect of what it seems like. If they're trying to go for precedence, it only takes one. Once they have that precedence, they can always go back and argue with it. And it's very hard to go against a precedent to fix something. You know,
I know as a consumer, like going forward, if this comes true that that's what's going on, myself included, I might not buy their games until they're really cheap because I need to justify my purchase. If I'm not allowed to trade it in, I'm going to get it for the cheapest possible price then. And
I'll just wait and buy the new Doom used.
And it will, stuff like that. It's
Take that.
It's going to kill their bottom line because people are just going to be like, I don't want to trade it in because I beat it too fast. So let me wait until it goes down in price, and then people are going to be like, why are you waiting? Because I don't want to be sued.
Yeah, think about Wolfenstein 2. Like, yeah, it's impressive what they did with getting it on the Switch. But if you buy a copy, say years from now, and you get it, you get home, you go to put it in, and that server is no longer there, you can't download that part of the game and you can't play it. You've bought a hunk of plastic. Even if you bought it brand new, sealed from them, if they shut the server down the next day, you can't play that game. It's gone.
Mm-hmm.
So at what point they're trying to change ownership from you own it to you rent it? You pay the money, you get it for a certain amount of time, and they take it back. And I don't think that's how that should work. Books don't just, what was it? They had for a while, I remember they were experimenting back when CDs and stuff were new, where you could make a copy of a disc and you could play it so many times and the disc would deteriorate and destroy itself so that you only had so many plays. And they actually tried to push that for some of them. And people are like, we're not doing this. Like they've always been trying to find a way to control how you own or how you use stuff.
So I will say, like, my last part of this, like, whole Bethesda and stuff like that,
That's how you feel.
Is that as kind of like a fear tactic right now is what people don't realize with I don't believe this carries over to Xbox at all or to Nintendo. But on Sony's side, because my friend has actually had it happen to him firsthand, if you buy a digital game, say you buy let's say a game that just recently came out, No Man's Sky digitally, and Sony has a kind of a refund policy, but you can also call them and say, I don't like this game, I want to refund it. What Sony actually does when you refund a digital game is it removes your license to play it. What happens after that, though, which is really, really bad, is if after I've gotten my digital copy refunded, if I go to a store and I buy the actual disc copy, I still can't play it because my license was removed for that game.
Excuse
my son sneaking past me to get to somewhere.
That sounds very Fortnite-y.
So that always scared me, is like, I don't really want to buy digital because I can't get a refund. Because if I get a refund, I'm basically telling them I never want to play this game ever again.
Yeah, see, I wasn't aware of them doing that. I thought it was just they removed the purchase history and then you'd have to re-get that license later on to do it. Huh. Well, that sucks. Jeez.
Because what is with the Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered?
Oh, that freaking fiasco. Because
of that, being as a separate download, the other one being now a disc they're releasing later. It was the same thing. It's once you downloaded it off the disc, it's your license. The next person who gets the disc with Modern Warfare Remastered, it can't be accessed from that because it'll be like you don't own the license. If you look into it, it's a complicated matter.
Yeah, I mean,
it's only on Sony systems because Sony's uses of licenses on their PS4 can make things tricky. So I always tell people be careful there.
Well, that's like I was talking about earlier with my copy of PT. I still have it on my PS4, but a lot of people refuse to update or do stuff with their PS4s until they could verify they could keep that game. And Sony ended up having to vocally tell, like, yes, this is what you got to do, but you can keep the game. Like, we're not going to take it. But if you happen to, accidentally delete it, it's gone. We're not giving you another copy. You can't re-download it. So.
Well, watch out for Bethesda. Watch out for plagiarism. Look forward to Smash.
Yeah. That's a pretty good. Oh, Lord. All right. Well, this has been episode 13 of the Zenspath Podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Powers. You can find me on Twitter at Zenspath, Zenspath. You can find me on YouTube at youtube.com/Zenspath, And then you can also find me at twitch.tv/Zenspath. I'll go on there and play some old games on occasion or just mess around. Steven, what you got? Where can we find you?
Well, you can find me mostly on Twitter. I'll be at loading_time. So you can find me usually. I'm a lurker, so I'm in there kind of. I'm not going to give you hot takes. I'm going to give you my opinions. So you can find me mostly there. I haven't gotten into more of the YouTube scene yet, but I don't mind, and I actually love debates and arguments and talking topics. So if you didn't like my opinion, as long as you're civilized, you can reach me on Twitter. Try to be civilized.
It's nice, yeah. Chris, what about you?
I'm pretty much a lurker too. I do voice acting mostly on SoundCloud as Sapient Beef, but I am welcome to come on any podcast you guys invite me to. But thank you.
You on Twitter as well, or you said just on SoundCloud?
Just on SoundCloud. I might get a Twitter account in future, though.
You should. That way I can find you on there. You definitely need to be more regular coming back as well. You both were fantastic for this one. So
thank you.
Gary couldn't make it, so I promised a UK guy, and I guess I kind of inadvertently lied. My bad.
He'll be DLC for the next episode.
Oh.
No, he was DLC for this episode. I just pulled a Capcom and decided it'll be on the next one instead. Sorry. Yeah. Oh, God. All right, guys. Well, we will see you hopefully in the next week to 2 weeks. I'd like to try and do this on at least a bi-weekly, but weekly would be awesome if I could find enough people to cycle out or do it, But we'll see. So, till next time. Peace.
Gotcha.